You have found yourself in the bizarre side of YouTube, where reality meets fiction, where your stories are read back to you in a dramatic fashion, where I get to pretend to be a voice actor. This is Comicstorian, and we take the time to make you a comic expert by filling you in on the big moments happening within the world of comic books. We cut out the B-plots, limit our panel usage to prevent copyright problems, and allow you to have something to collect. Today we're going to be covering the Immortal Hulk storyline. This was a total of 50 issues involving the Hulk going to hell and giving the entire history as to why the Hulk was able to come back to life so often and never truly die, but seemingly die at the same time. So let's start with Immortal Hulk, issue 1. In the middle of nowhere, Arizona, a man named Tommy nervously pulls up to the Roxxon gas station, trying to find the courage to do what he must. Across the lot, a mother calls out to her daughter to make sure that whatever she is buying is healthy. The daughter rolls her eyes, telling her, okay. Inside the store is another nameless man, reading a magazine off of the shelf. And as the daughter reaches into the cooler, she notices the nameless man staring at her and asks if he has a problem. The nameless man puts down his magazine and he begins to leave. But the daughter scoffs when he says, "Excuse me," and passes by. But as that happens, Tommy finally builds up his nerves and he runs into the store with a face covered, holding a gun. Tommy tells the clerk to not hit the alarms, just open the register. The clerk says, sure, anything he can. Just then, the daughter sees what's happening. She drops her bottle, causing it to smash on the ground. The sound startles Tommy, and he spins around and he fires his gun. The daughter grabs her chest as she falls to the ground, and all Tommy can do is stand there, frozen. The nameless man looks at the young girl, stating that and he looks up. His eyes, they turn bright green, but before Bruce could change into the Hulk, he's shot in the forehead. The clerk holds up his arms, begging Tommy not to do it. He still hasn't hit the alarm yet, but Tommy points the gun at the clerk, and he pulls the trigger. Later, Detective Gloria Mays tells reporter Jackie McGee that their first victim was Sandra Ann Brockhurst, 12. The clerk was Josh Alfaro, age 22, and the third, he's a John Doe, probably someone local, but he does have a familiar face. Jackie scribbles her notes into her pad, asking if they're okay with that being posted tomorrow, and Gloria says hopefully that will loosen some lips and get people talking. But while the crime scene is being processed, the 3 bodies are transported to the morgue. However, Bruce's body slowly begins to change green, and his arm raises. A short while later, in another part of the town at an abandoned home, Tommy explains that he didn't want any of that stuff to happen, and the gun went off. Joe, the leader of the small biker gang, sits down telling him, yeah, real shame, but how much did you get? Tommy cries, asking, what? And Joe says, come on, how much did you get? Tommy tells him he's not sure, maybe a few hundred. Joe says, okay then, you can start paying me back the interest in what you owe me. I'm gonna let things slide for now. I got myself a real nice family. Everyone begins to laugh, and Joe pushes Tommy out, telling him to make sure to bring the rest of the money. Don't bring him another sob story. All right. Tommy turns to hurry and leave, but before he could go outside, there's a loud thoom and a tremor that sends everyone to the ground. Joe stumbles back, telling everyone to grab their guns and check on the generator. A few members of the gang run out, stating that the generator's been destroyed, and another says that he thinks he sees something. Seconds later, the man screams and Joe shouts, what the hell is that? A third member runs in, yelling that there's a devil out there. Something big. Joe cracks the man across the head, telling him to shut up. He's just another meth head. Everyone gather up, we're ending this now. The remaining members all point their guns at the door, and through the wall a pair of giant green arms burst through, grabbing Joe. Outside, Tommy is running to his car, breathing heavy as he searches for the keys to put into the lock, but the shouting scares him, and he drops them. He then hears nothing. He looks at the dark house and he pulls out his gun, asking, is anyone there? Hello? Anyone? And just then a giant shadow looms over Tommy in the moonlight, and the Hulk says, Sandra Ann Brockhurst. That was her name, and she was 12. Tommy stumbles back and the Hulk says, how does it feel in your hand? Heavy, right? All that stopping power? Heavier than it was at the range even. Tommy tells him no, and the Hulk goes on. You're probably wondering, right? All that power. What would happen if he just let loose? Tommy holds up his gun and he begins to shoot, but as the bullets pling off of the Hulk, he says, you know, you should have shot someone who deserved it. But do you know what I found? It's because you've been lying to yourself. I can smell a liar. Tommy drops the gun, yelling, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'll go to the police. Just I have a family. I have a little girl. Didn't you ever make a mistake? Please. I'm not a bad guy. Am I? The Hulk smiles as he reaches down, asking Tommy, what do you think? The next morning, Bruce wakes up and gets cleaned up. And as he washes his hands, he tells himself, I'm not a bad person. Am I? He looks in the mirror and he sees the Hulk staring right back at him, asking him, what do you think? While avoiding the prying eyes of many, Bruce Banner spends a lot of time alone, often in a small room. But as he wakes from his nightmare, he tells himself that it's not the bomb that he dreams about, it's the waiting. Being trapped in a tiny room with a Geiger counter. The radiation that he's taken in, nobody could survive this. They call it the walking ghost phase. You feel like you're healthy, like you're not dead, but death is coming. It's coming in the form of a hissing Geiger counter. It crackles, it laughs at him, and it won't shut up. It won't leave him alone. It just won't leave him alone. As he blinks, he looks out the bus window. Did he just say all that stuff out loud? It doesn't really matter, the bus is mostly empty. Nobody to give a fitfully sleeping stranger a second look. But that's the third night in a row with the same dream. He should just stop sleeping, or at least at night. The night is his time. The bus makes a stop and Bruce feels an itch in the back of his skull. His seat is no longer comfortable. It's a sign. There's something here for him. Bruce heads into the diner to get something to eat and try to enjoy one of the few things that he can enjoy. Eating. The taste, the smell, everything about it. He can still enjoy it, even with him looking back at him. But it isn't so bad now. He just finds ways to use that power inside. Ways to use him to bring a measure of justice to this world. A way to atone for his sins. Bruce heads out and he looks down at the papers and he sees the headline. Hulk sighted by a reporter named Jackie McGee from the Arizona Herald. Bruce looks around. Should he run? Will someone recognize him? He looks down and he sees the local paper with the headline, Mystery Deaths Are Nothing to Worry About. Yes, that's something he's interested in. Nobody should recognize him, so he should be able to ask around, and he'll start at the bars. He asks the bartender about these deaths, and one of the patrons says that he knows exactly what it is. It's grief. 4 people have fallen to the same thing. They lose someone, they bury them. They fall into grief. After that, the sickness comes. It's like a chain of sickness. Soon the whole town will be grieving. What then? The bartender tells the man to give it a rest. She doesn't need him scaring off the clientele. And Bruce asks, what started this chain of grief? A man lowers his glass, telling him, that's easy. It was when the fry boy died. The bartender tells the man to hush. And Bruce says, who's that? Bartender takes out her phone and says that she should have a picture of him. His name was Del Fry. Prom king, star quarterback, you name it, he was the best at it. He died of some embolism or something, just kneeled over and died. Nice kid. Rich too. His father was a doctor, invented something or made it better. Something like that. What was it, medical treatment? Cancer treatment? Nah, radiation treatment. When Bruce hears those words, the itch returns, focused on a single point. Right where the arrow that killed him went in. It wasn't long ago that Bruce had asked an acquaintance to fire a special kind of arrow into his brain. It was a complex situation, but he needed to know if he could die. The arrow did a lot of damage, and he's not sure that he's fully healed, but now his other thinks he's smarter. Bruce wanders through the town cemetery, and he finds himself stopping at Del Fry's grave, with something telling him that it all started right here. Something in this place, in the air, the soil, something he recognizes. Something he doesn't want to recognize. Something that's a part of him. Bruce stumbles back, stating no. He runs to a payphone calling the police, stating that it's gamma radiation emitting from the grave. Anybody visiting it is in danger of acute radiation syndrome. It's like a flu at first, food poisoning, but it's also called the walking ghost phase. No, he doesn't have an exact reading. No, he can't give you his name. You know what? Fine. You want my name? It's Robert Bruce Banner, and don't make me angry. He hurries, knowing that got their attention. And there's still something else, though. He saw it on the way in, a flash of green in the distant mountain. He begins to climb the side of that mountain, inching closer and closer to the source of that green light. And as he climbs into a cave, he sees the bodies scattered about with a voice stating that they are so sorry. Bruce asks, Dr. Fry? And the bright green radioactive body of Dr. Fry lunges forward, telling Bruce, I'm sorry, but I can't let anyone find me. As Dr. Fry holds Bruce down by his neck, he thinks to himself, he wanted to know if he could die, and he could. With that, there's a loud crack as Bruce's arms turn green, and the Hulk jumps up, slamming Dr. Fry into the ground. Sure, Bruce Banner can die, but the Hulk can't. Dr. Fry shouts, oh God, you're Dr. Banner! The Hulk picks up Dr. Fry asking, are you trying to piss me off? Your kid, what's his name, Dell? It started with him, didn't it? And don't lie, I can smell a liar. Dr. Fry pauses for a moment and tells him, he was afraid of death. I never really thought of it until my wife Claire died. I wondered what the afterlife was like. I just couldn't imagine it. All the joys of touch and taste and smell, the thought of it all just gone. I couldn't let that happen. So I threw myself into my work. Everyone saw Dr. Banner as a cautionary tale, but not me. I made minor improvements to the conventional cancer treatments, but the real work, I kept that to myself. Human testing began with me and it went perfectly. After a month of initial injection, I felt 10 years younger. The gamma-powered healing factor had no side effects, and my son was going pro. With all the injuries that he could face, I couldn't wait. So I injected him and something happened. He said he saw a green door, and someone was looking back at him. It's below us. That's when he fell over, and he was dead within seconds. After that, I destroyed the serum. Nobody suspected me, so I never had to confess. The Hulk scoffs. I've got it from here. So you hid yourself in the middle of nowhere, and between killing anyone who found you, you began to wonder why. Why did you live? Well, science is the other guy, but maybe you built up a tolerance, created your very own walking ghost phase. That's the irony of it all. You're afraid of death, and now you are death. You loved your son, but you put him in a grave. Dr. Fry cowers. Oh God! And Hulk tells him, yeah, now you're getting it. He's radioactive. 6 feet of Earth isn't enough to contain that. Everyone who goes to mourn walks away with a fatal dose and becomes a walking ghost. How many has it been, Dr. Fry? How many have to die because you were scared? Dr. Fry backs up. Please, I've made mistakes. I don't want to die. The Hulk laughs. Is that so? Well, you made your bed. It's time to lie in it. Moments pass, and as Dr. Fry opens his eyes, he begins to rub his face, but nothing comes. His arms, his legs, they are gone. And now he's buried deep beneath within the mountain where he can live and never die. If you listen closely in the dead of the night, you can hear him begging. Death is better. Please, please let me die. With news of Hulk being sighted across the United States, Arizona Herald reporter Jackie McGee visits the last known place where Bruce Banner has been seen, South Dakota. She sits down with the different members of the community to get their take on what happened when they ran into the Hulk. The first person, the cop, says that he's got a story for her. They just got a call about a crime in progress at the old church at Mercer Avenue. What they didn't expect, though, was Hotshot, the human ray gun. Hotshot disarmed them and they needed themselves a real hero to handle things. Next up was the bartender. He recalled an event when Bruce came into his bar. He looked out of place, clothes didn't fit, he had the look of a serial killer. He got angry about something, and then when he saw something going on at Mercer Avenue on TV, he grabbed a knife. Obviously, he was like, whoa! And then he ran out the door. The next person was an old lady. Her view of things were a little, well, different than what others saw. She was at a church when Hotshot came in. When he burst in, he shouted that his love was dying. The priest said that he needed to turn himself in, and then he yelled that nobody understands love. The boy really did look like James Dean, though. Finally, Jackie visits the priest to get his side of the story. Unlike what the old woman said, he could somewhat understand what Hotshot was saying when he broke into the church. He was clearly upset, stating that the devil was inside of his girlfriend. Something about something underneath below everything got into her and they needed an exorcism or something. He then went back to it, stating something about a door below, a green door below. What does it even mean? The cops arrived stating that they would get someone to negotiate, but at that point, Hotshot started to lose it. He asked God for salvation. The answer he sent, well, it was big, it was green, and it was angry. The old woman goes on stating that it was horrible. The giant beast came in and broke the hands of that handsome young man. The cop continues the story stating that after the Hulk literally disarmed Hotshot, Hotshot still had more tricks up his sleeve. The priest said, oh God, he couldn't look away. He could see right through him. His chest was ripped wide open. They all waited for him to fall, but instead the hole just regrew itself and the look on his face. The boy said what everyone was thinking. It's you. You're the shadow. You're the one below all, the devil himself. The cop laughs, asking, you know what the big guy said? The Hulk said, you're damn right, and he clobbered him good. The next part, well, yeah, the next part wasn't so fun. The priest says that he and the officer went to the motel where the boy was staying. He saw the body. She was smiling at them when they went in. It was a peaceful smile. Green door was written on the wall. He wasn't able to pray since that day. What does that mean? Lastly, the old woman finishes her story, stating that she went to visit the young man and he said that it wasn't him who killed her. He did tie her to the chair because her power was out of control. He would never. She was alive when he left. He loved her. They just gotta believe him. As it turned out, the young man found a way to hang himself in his cell. Such a tragedy. Ah, well, T. Jackie sighs as she sits back in her chair asking what is she supposed to do with all of this. 3 people with 3 stories, all of them the same story though. They just have different perspectives as to what happened, and at the center of it all, the Hulk. She receives a call from an unknown number. She picks it up. And the voice in the other line states is this Jacqueline McGee from the Arizona Herald. She asks who is it, and the man says Walter Lakowski. He works for Alpha Flight, the International Space Team, or he did. Anyway, he's been reading her recent articles and it would seem that she's the only person actively looking for Bruce Banner, apart from him that is. Why? Well, Bruce is an old college buddy of his. He wants him to know. If they're being totally honest here, he could use her particular expertise. Right, exactly. There's something that he wants her to take a look at. Several days later at a bus station in South Dakota, Jackie McGee sits telling her boss no, they cannot change the pricing. They were the ones who broke the story, now everyone's sniffing green blood in the air. If they want to stay in the race, it's not enough to just chase Banner, they need him. No, this has nothing to do with what happened back then. Look, if they can't get Banner, the next best thing is his college roommate. Just then Walter walks up with a suitcase stating, hi, I'm Walter, or Sasquatch if you prefer. Carried his own hairy Alpha Hulk turned space diplomat. And Bruce Banner's college roommate. Pleasure to meet you all. Jackie gets up shaking Walter's hand, stating that she's sorry. She was just speaking to her editor, and there was a fresh Hulk sighting. Walter laughs, telling her, I guess we're going to be doing this on the move. What do you want to know first? As the two jump in the car, Jackie asks how about they start with how Walter and Bruce Banner met. Walter tells her, well, it was at Penn State. Bruce transferred there for a semester since they have lab facilities that the Desert State didn't have. Jackie asks, Gamma facilities? And Walter laughs, haha, yep. Even back then, Bruce is all about that thing. Bruce needed a research assistant and there I was, a football scholarship and a head for physics. We got along like a house on fire. Sure, we had some disagreements every once in a while, but his mother died and his father was in an institute, so he held a lot in. One day he even gave all of his clothes to Goodwill and bought 10 identical suits like Einstein did. Never understood why they were purple pants though. Well, time passed and eventually it happened. Bruce had done it. The atomic scientist had become the Hulk. That's when things began to get serious. Long story short, I quit football and I made it my mission to duplicate what Bruce did. Ever been hit by a gamma bomb? It's a real trip. Jackie asks, a trip, huh? And then remembers back to when she was a little girl and her father told her not to look. Do not look him in the eye. Except she did. Walter then says that he knows that look in her eye, and that's why he did what he did. The thinking was that his Hulk could counter Bruce's Hulk. Bruce had brains and no strength, where he had strength and not so much brains. It was supposed to be a deterrent for Canada. For the world, really. But his personality would remain in control. If she couldn't tell, he's a pretty laid-back guy, not prone to anger. He went north to do some testing, and the controlled gamma bombardment did something they didn't expect. Something outside conventional science. It opened something. A kind of door. A world of beasts and demons. One of them got into him. Tanarok. It was a long time ago, and Tanarok's dead, and I'm in control of Sasquatch now, really. A few moments later, the two pull up to the scene of a 3-car pileup, and Walter says, it looks like the Hulk School of Vehicle Maintenance showed up. Jackie begins to take pictures, stating, okay, we gotta look for a bar. Bruce is always getting his information from bars. A short while later, Jackie holds up a photo of Bruce, and the waitress says, yeah, that's him. Asking all sorts of questions about Noah Swanson. Jackie says,
She spoke with one of the officers and Noah was a meth dealer. It's his van out there mashed up with all his cars, isn't it? As Jackie interviews the waitress, a fight then begins to break out with two of the bar patrons. Walter hurries over to separate the two of them, asking what's going on. What's got them all riled up on such a nice day? The man with the bandage on his nose says, him. He knows all about it. Walter turns and asks the second man what he's talking about. But while Walter is looking in the other direction, the man with the bandage pulls out a knife and he stabs Walter in the back. Walter falls to the ground and the man with the bandage shouts that he didn't mean to. The second man yells that they gotta go, they just killed a man. And later in the hospital, Jackie gives the detective the details as to what happened. The detective jots down her statement and asks if she can remember anything else, be sure to call them. And if she does find Bruce Banner, they would like to talk to him as well. The detective walks off and Jackie sighs, stating, yeah, she would too. Just then a man sits down next to her, stating, good timing then, here I am. What happened to Walter? Jackie sits right up in her seat, not making eye contact with Bruce Banner. She says that Walter's in surgery. He was stabbed while they were looking for him. What are you doing here, Mr. Banner? Bruce tells her that he followed a hunch. All humans emit radiation. Simple biophonics, really. Barely measurable. But the gamma affected, they have unique signatures. Walter's is just like his. Jackie asks, so you can sense him? And Bruce says, no, but he can. Inside the operating room, the doctor stops working and says that he's gonna call it time of, oh my God. Walter's body begins to change into Sasquatch and Bruce tells her, it's nighttime now, and nighttime is his time. You need to evacuate the hospital now. The doctors all huddled together stating, oh God, above. But Sasquatch stops them stating, God above? No, quite the reverse. Jackie says, wait a minute, I got questions for you. You owe me. Bruce tells her, yeah, I owe a lot of people, something from stolen pants to ruined lives. Where you fall on that spectrum will have to wait. Yeah, what are you going to do? Tell people to run from a man who's risen from the dead? Why would anyone believe you? Just then screaming can be heard from the operating room and Bruce tells her, you're a reporter. It's your job to make people believe you. Besides, screaming will probably help. He pushes open the doors to the operating room and says, hello, Walter. Can we talk? Sasquatch lips the blood from his claws and he looks back. I am not Walter. He swipes, cutting Bruce's throat, telling him, and I would rather talk to the real you. Bruce falls to the ground with Sasquatch asking, it hurts to die, doesn't it? Bruce coughs up blood, telling him, But as the Hulk comes out, he says, you heard Banner. I take it personally. He jumps up, punching Sasquatch, telling him, you're not Lekowski. That fits. Lekowski's a creep. Smug little know-it-all. The Hulk throws Sasquatch through a wall, finishing, but Lekowski never had 3 murders in him. You're something else, aren't you? See, nobody's ever loved Walt for his mind. They only wanted the jock. He only feels needed when he's a furry. Stays that way for months. Am I getting warm? Sasquatch thrusts his claws into the Hulk's chest, telling him, very clever little monster. Hulk pulls out Sasquatch's arm, telling him, Lekowski stayed Sasquatch too long. Left the door open and you got in. In through a green door. You got into Hotshot's girlfriend too, didn't you? What was that about? Why did you want my attention? What are you? Tanarak, Manifesto, something worse? Who's in there? Sasquatch laughs, telling him, look in the mirror behind you. Hulk starts to look back, stating, real original. And when he looks, he sees himself holding Brian Banner, Bruce Banner's father. Hulk pauses and says, Daddy? Brian lashes out at the Hulk, telling him, don't you remember? You've known what would happen since the beginning. Those brilliant intuitive leaps. From the day you were born, it was you. The monster inside. I should have killed you while you slept in the crib. Sasquatch slams Hulk into a wall and Hulk tells him, it's not him. It can't be. And Brian tells him, you see the ghosts and smell eyes, don't you? You'd know if it wasn't true. I'm the father that Bruce killed. Back through the green door. Back from death. Brian jabs his claws into the Hulk's stomach, asking, how does it feel? That's the proof. Who else would hurt you like this? Who else would make the monster scared? Hulk shouts, no, never! And he kicks Brian in the face. Hulk gets up, telling him, you're just a man who killed his wife and tried to kill his son. You scare Banner. You think that gives you power over me? You think that makes you special? Not special. Puny human. Hulk punches Brian through a wall, yelling, you're nothing. Any power you have, someone gave you. Who? Who brought you back? Who opened the door? Tell me or I'll smash. Brian starts to get up, stating that it needs a host personality to work in this world. It burrows in, wears our souls like masks on a stage. Help me. Hulk shouts, asking, "What does that mean? What's behind you?" Hulk punches again, and Brian catches the hit, telling him, "Every light casts a shadow. Every mirror there is a reflection, as above, as below." He stabs his claws into the Hulk's eyes, telling him, "Take a look. You'll see darker shadows than your own." He continues ripping into the Hulk, asking, "How many do you have to?" And then he stops and he feels something shoot into his arm. He looks back to see a security officer with a taser and says, "Well, boy, there's one more." He whips his arm back, tearing through the security guard, telling Jackie, "Remember this, it's the monster's fault." He holds his arms up to swipe at Jackie, but the Hulk grabs him, stating, "Gamma. Gamma is what made Lekowski what he is. Keeps the green door open, doesn't it? But the difference between me and you, I eat Gamma." Hulk grabs onto his body, absorbing all of the gamma radiation until Sasquatch begins to revert into Walter. As Jackie helps lay Walter out, Hulk says that he just took all of Lekowski's radiation. No more Sasquatch, no more Dad, or whatever that was. She checks his pulse and says that the Hulk saved him. The Hulk rubs his eyes, telling her, "Shut up. You're with the local paper and you drove over how many states and you can't even look Banner in the face? Yeah, I noticed. Whatever this is to you, whatever he owes you, it's personal. The truth now." She looks back, stating that when she was 15, the Hulk destroyed her home, her neighborhood. They said to never look him in the eye, but she did, and she has questions. He stares for a moment in silence and tells her, "Fine, one question, make it quick." She gets up, asking her one question. How does she do it? How does she get to be what he is? He stares back for a few seconds and then turns, telling her, "Just go home." As he leaves the hospital, he looks at his reflection in the car window, and what he sees is Brian Banner. Now he sits at the edge of his motel bed, and he thinks back to the first time that he died. He couldn't stop screaming, so he got back up. Something inside him was unlocked, a dark opposite, a shadow self. The person was stronger than him, stronger than anyone really, even too strong for death to claim. The thing is, Bruce Banner can die, but only during the day. The problem is when night comes, he drags him back. Bruce stares at the mirror, watching the Hulk beat against the glass, trying to break out as he drinks his coffee, thinking, well, that's new. It's been 2 days since the fight with Walter, and he hasn't dared to let him out since. Hulk defeated Sasquatch, draining Walter's gamma radiation, but he's been starting to suspect that something else came with that. He needs to talk to the Hulk, but he can't just let him free. So now it's probably time to try something new. Bruce grabs a piece of paper and a pen, and he closes his eyes, emptying his mind, letting the pen move on its own. Bruce's hand slowly begins to scribble down something, and when his hand comes to a stop, he opens up his eyes. He reads the word home, and he asks the Hulk, what does that even mean? Where's home? Meanwhile, in California, Betty Ross watches the news as the reporter explains that social media has been abuzz with its latest sighting of the Hulk. She turns the TV off, wiping away the tears, stating, just stop. Her husband isn't back from the dead. If he was, why wouldn't he have let her know? That Hulk can't be Bruce Banner. But elsewhere at an undisclosed location, a group of monitors watch all people, living or dead, that Bruce has ever sought out to for help. One of the guys monitoring states that this is kind of creepy. This one just isn't a civilian, it's General Ross's daughter, the boss of our boss. It feels like, but the voice of General 14 tells the group of monitors that everyone on the screens in front of them is not civilians. They are not friendlies. They've all given aid and comfort to the Hulk before, and that makes them an enemy. As you were. As 14 closes the door, Dr. Clive sips his drink, asking, would Ross mind if he knew? 14 tells him that it is not Ross's business to know. The general was too close to Banner, and right now, he understands that. But it is best for Ross to focus on Steve Rogers' situation and leave the Hulk operations to a trusted second-in-command such as himself. As the two walk into the next room, a giant test tube glows green as Del Fry's body floats in it. And Clive asks how's their little buddy today. Clive's assistant Charlene says that it's been the same since they dug him out of that grave. His pain receptors are still off the charts. He's in agony. If they would just make some adjustments to the tank, they could possibly reduce them, eliminate them even. Clive takes another drink, stating, yeah, except recalibrating the system would take days. And what would that get them? Forget his little fee-fees. Where are they at on replicating him? Another tech, Jay, says not much. They're pretty sure that what caused this in his blood, some kind of gamma serum. Well, it's like cracking a code in a dead language. Clive sips more of his drink, telling 14, see, we can't make progress without an actual Hulk, but not just the Hulk, a Hulk. Like Cho or Walters. People might actually miss them. 14 thinks for a second and then he asks, what about Sasquatch? A short while later, up at the Alpha Flight space station, Walter sits up from his bed as Carol walks in, stating that she just got off the phone with General 14. He's currently in charge of the US Hulk operations, ex-USAF like her, and he played that card a lot, building up a rapport. He's a very charming man who very charmingly threatened him with legal injection, after extradition and trial, of course. For what it's worth, he was very apologetic. He'd love to make it all go away. Pip scoffs. He bets. But what does he get in return? Carol says that's the thing. If her team secures Banner for the proper authorities, Walter's exonerated. If I say no, they're gonna take him. Shaman then asks how are they supposed to defeat the Hulk? Carol tells him not this team, her other team. Back on Earth, Bruce walks down the road thinking, we really are going home. My home, that is. It makes perfect sense. We're going to the place where I'm the strongest to defeat whatever it is that's inside of us. As Bruce holds out his thumb at a passing car, he realizes that the light coming towards him isn't a car. Bruce looks up to see Carol and he says, hello, always a pleasure, or this business. The Avengers have been very good at leaving me alone since I came back. Carol stares, stating that the Hulk helped save the world. It earned him some rope, but this is a very different set of Avengers. If she's being honest, the rope's about to run out. As other members of the Avengers appear, Jennifer looks at Bruce rather disappointed as she starts to change into the She-Hulk, stating, you're disappointed? I almost died. I was in a coma, and when I woke up, I found out that you killed yourself. You knew what that would do to me. You forced my friend, had to guilt Clint Barton into doing it. You knew what that would do to. Thor grabs Jennifer by the shoulder, telling her, control yourself. Jennifer says the Hulk knows. She knows. Carol places her hands on her hips, stating that they're not here to hurt him, but he's gonna come with them. And Bruce asks, right now? You sure about that? The sun is down. Carol tells him yes, they know about his patterns. Every sighting has been the same. The night is his time. And in order to set the Hulk free, Bruce Banner has to die. Bruce grits his teeth, stating, that's my secret. I'm already dead. As soon as Bruce finishes, his body begins to change and it begins to grow. The Hulk lunges forward, cracking Thor across the face with enough force to knock a tooth out of the mouth of a god. Thor stumbles back, stating, by Odin. And Hulk tells him, Daddy can't help you now. Captain America leaps in front of Thor, protecting him from another hit, but the Hulk punches the shield, stating, look, it's Captain Hydra. If I rip your head off, are two more gonna come out? Captain America struggles, holding the Hulk back, stating that wasn't him. Black Panther leaps onto the Hulk's shoulders, telling him, perhaps this will bring you to your senses. And he shocks the Hulk in the head. Iron Man readies the Hulkbuster suit, stating, let's hope. If not, I got a big gun parked about 10,000 feet away. Black Panther leaps off as Iron Man fires into the Hulk, yelling, sub-weapon should be a last resort, and Code Helios is one of them. Captain America helps Thor to his feet, asking if he's okay. He's never seen him get hit that hard. Thor slowly struggles to get up, stating, he's stronger than he was, vastly so. I've seen the naked men of souls, smell the lies of their hearts, hidden even from themselves. Captain America says, you might have a concussion, you're rambling a lot. Lies don't have a smell. And Thor asks, are you sure? You live in the mortal world, one of science and law. Where I come from, I live in a world of legend and symbol, the world of the gods. What I'm suggesting is that in its rage, its pain, in the shadow of its Armageddon, your mortal world may have produced something very close to a god, or a devil perhaps. The Hulk laughs, ha ha ha, Devil Hulk works for me. The Hulk then thrusts both of his hands into the Hulkbuster suit, stunning it, and the computer inside tells Iron Man that he needs to eject. The Hulk rips the arms off of the suit and continues to beat on it, trapping Iron Man inside. Black Panther tries to pry open the suit, shouting, that is enough! Iron Man will die unless we get him out of there. This man is my friend. Hulk asks, friend? And then he takes the Hulkbuster suit, smacking Black Panther with it. Iron Man yells that he needs to use the manual release, and he shoots off into the sky holding the helmet of the Hulkbuster. As he goes up higher, he tells everyone that he's unlocking the big gun. But Carol yells that there are civilians down there. He tells her that the civilians are going to be out of the area thanks to Alpha Flight transports, right? And Carol tells him, maybe so, but these are the homes of hundreds of people, Tony. Captain America radios in, stating, I'm with Carol with this one. Let's leave Code Helios until we're out of options. We still have one last chance. Just then Jennifer transforms, charging in, punching the Hulk, yelling, Hulk smash! Bruce hurt Jen, hurt his friends, so now? Hulk catches the punch, getting up, telling her, you're mad, and the madder you get, right? Funny how that works. I was everything Banner wanted to hide. Everything he wanted to pretend he wasn't. You were everything Walters wanted to show the world. Only now the line between us is harder to see, ain't it? What do you think, Hulk? Hulk's smile widens and She-Hulk yells, no, Hulk is not. I'm not like you. Hulk laughs, huh, gotcha. Then there's a booming wham as She-Hulk is knocked across the small town. And Iron Man radios in, stating, he'll kill someone soon, Carol. I swear to God, that's how this ends. Carol states that there are no life signs in range, but Iron Man, this isn't. He tells her, it's settled. Cross your fingers because we only got one shot at this. Carol calls out over the comms, don't do it! And Iron Man tells her, we have no choice. Systems green, firing the Helios laser. As he hits the switch, the giant floating laser begins to charge, and then it fires a cloud-piercing blast from the sky. A short while later, as the dust begins to settle, Captain America looks down at the charred remains of Bruce Banner, telling Black Panther that this isn't right. He only hoped that it didn't hurt too much. Iron Man's projection tells him that it most definitely did. The Helios laser was laced with UV radiation. Effectively, it was a beam of hard sunlight. It was the only thing that we had on hand that could hurt this new Devil Hulk. Captain America says not to call him that. That wasn't the devil. That was my friend, and you killed him. Black Panther then says that this is only a temporary measure. Bruce Banner may not be dead, but I suspect that without these UV drones, the Hulk will rise again. Ghost Rider and his vehicle are healed, but Thor's fractured skull will need further treatment. As for Jennifer, she's alive and relatively uninjured. But she won't say what it was that the Hulk said to her. Iron Man adds, let's not forget, he almost killed me. Black Panther turns away, stating that without the Helios weapon, without this sacrifice, they'd be buried by their own dead tonight. My conscience remains clear. Captain America looks back at Bruce's body, stating, that's good for you, Your Highness. We got another problem anyway. We beat him. We've got him. Now what do we do? Later, inside of Dr. Clive's lab, Dr. Clive asks, what could be done? There were protocols. Even the Avengers can't fight City Hall. So Ross handed you to Secretary Ross, having delegated command of the Hulk operations, passed you straight onto us. We made you nice and comfy in time for the next sunset. Welcome to Shadow Base, Banner. I want you to think of what's coming as a little poetic vengeance. You've caused a lot of people a lot of pain over the years, and now it's our turn. As Hulk's floating head in a jar listens, he tries to yell, but without his lungs, his screams go unheard. Dr. Jeff Clive's team of scientists take the responsibility of dissecting the world's strongest hero very seriously. A $7 million hydraulic arm using adamantium scalpels are carefully cutting into the Hulk's flesh, and that's just for his heart. There's something very interesting about the Hulk's body that Dr. Clive and his team are finding out. Even though the Hulk is dead and cut into many pieces, his body can still put itself back together. It is now Clive's job to understand the science as to why that is even happening. He looks to his team asking if anyone has any ideas, and then he notices Hulk's head trying to talk. He spins back, telling the Hulk that he really should see this. He's just a giant head trying to talk with no air in his lungs. Science isn't his specialty, is it? One of the Hulk's severed hands curls into a fist and extends his middle finger. And Clive says that he's as charming as ever. He picks up the two halves of the Hulk's heart and he holds them together. And as they start to weave back together, Clive says, see, good as new. But now the question is, why isn't the rest of his body regenerating? Why isn't the separated parts just replacing the old ones? Meanwhile, up at Alpha Flight Space Station, Carol Danvers looks out into the void of space asking where did he go? Ross denies all knowledge. General 14, the man who requested the mission, cannot be found. Requests for information are misfiled. Washington contacts are fired or reassigned without rhyme or reason. So did the US government lose the Hulk or kidnap him? Walter says, well, if Banner's above ground, I could track his gamma signature, unless he can suddenly change it at will now. Carol tells him, good, because as of now, you're back on active duty. You may not be Sasquatch anymore, but you are a noted gamma researcher. I'll be putting together a new task force, headed up by Dr. Lekowski, to locate said threat. Jackie then asks, does this new task force have a name? And Walter laughs. What else would we call it? The next day, back on Earth in Clive's lab, he sits in his chair telling 14 no. He doesn't think it's funny. Gamma flight is the last thing they need. They need to find a way to get Carol Danvers off their back, or no. Yes, he will proceed as ordered. Clive sighs, hanging up the phone, and his assistant asks what's wrong. Clive groans, stating that Danvers gave a press conference yesterday, shining a spotlight right on them. 14's response is to go dark and cut their ties. The assistant says, but it will take days for them to become operational again, and Clive tells her that he knows it's not what everyone wants to hear at the end of a long shift. Just go get the first ready for transport. He'll start prepping Red Dog just as soon as he figures out this jigsaw puzzle. As Clive looks back at the Hulk, well, he smiles. Clive then asks, does he think it's funny or something? His superhero buddies are making this difficult. Difficult for him. Everything they've done to him here, it's just the start. Next, they're gonna rip him apart, cell by cell, and then cut that smile right down to the bone. Maybe they'll pop each one of his eyes. How would he like that? Pop them like big old water balloons. The Hulk begins to laugh, and Clive shouts, "What's so funny? We're experimenting on you. We're gonna turn you into a weapon. We will learn all of your secrets, how your heart beats, how your fingers move, all of it. We will find out exactly what you can do." Oh God. The Hulk's smile, it gets wider. And Clive asks, You let us do this to you, didn't you? You wanted us to test you, because if we know what you can do, then so do you. One of the Hulk's hands snaps its fingers, breaking the glass of all of the containers holding his parts together, and they all come crashing to the ground. As the Hulk's body begins to reattach itself, it grabs onto Clive's body, and it begins to form around him. He struggles to get free, yelling, "Please, I'm sorry, please don't, please!" But the Hulk straightens his head on his neck as Clive's arm is absorbed, telling him, "Not sorry enough. You wanted science, a set of rules. For me, big mistake. See, science is the other one. When you hurt him, I take it personally." The Hulk punches his way through the walls and earth, climbing back up to the world above. And as the sunlight touches his skin, his body begins to change back into a twisted pile of flesh. Bruce covers himself with Dr. Clive's coat and he begins to talk, all while hearing somebody laugh in the back of his mind. As the ringing of the shotgun fades into the distance, Bruce falls to the ground holding his stomach, stating, "It hurts." And the Hulk tells Bruce, "I bet it does. You knew this was too big of a risk." The landowner comes out asking, "Did you think you'd come here and steal my washing line? That was self-defense. Law's on my side, meth head." Bruce coughs, "I'm sorry." And the Hulk tells him, "Just remember, this is what happens when you don't listen to me." A short while later, the man in the suit tells the landowner that he appreciates him answering his questions. He was lucky to get out of that situation alive. And the landowner asks, "Lucky? That thing smashed everything that I owned." The man in the suit says, "Well, he let you live. Thanks again." The landowner asks, "What are you talking about?" And as the man in the suit holds out his hand, his fingers begin to mesh together to form a gun. And then, well, it goes off. As the landowner falls to the ground, the man in the suit radios in stating that this is Agent Burbank calling Shadow Base. "Are we live? Is it secure?" The operator tells him all clear, and Burbank says, "Piggybacking off the 911 call was a good idea. I got here well before the cops did. Hulk's sighting is confirmed. Gamma trails leading in a very particular direction. Tell Red Dog that we know where he's going. He's going home." Miles ahead, the Hulk is making his way home, thinking maybe where he's going isn't home. He was always there when his father killed a parted banner. Maybe he was always there. And this is the place where he took his first breath, where he made his mark. Los Diablos, the test site for the first gamma bomb, the place of the Hulk's power, the place where he is the strongest. But he's here for a reason. Whatever got into Lukowski got into him. And it's wearing the face of Banner's father, the face that they hate. And for that, they need to be stronger. This is my ground, where I can win. I can smash him, that's the plan. Or is it? The Hulk looks in the window of the old guard tower, seeing Brian Banner's face, and says, "It was you. You're the one who put the idea of coming here into my head. This is where you get power, where I think I can get rid of you." The Hulk shouts, asking, "Do you really think you can get rid of me? Come out, Dad. Let's see it happen. Get out of my head and fight." He smashes the small tower into the ground, stating, "Nice try. Getting me mad? That might have worked on another Hulk, but not me. I'm in control. I'll find a way to get rid of you. I won't play your... Wait, what's that sound?" Just then a red hulking man with a ball and chain lands, shouting, "Hulk, come on! It's time for us to get back in the ring." The Hulk stares for a moment, thinking that he knows this man. His name is Carl Creel, the absorbing man, and he's had an upgrade. Carl yells, "Come on!" And Hulk asks him, "Is this my father playing another trick? Well, too bad. I'm the one in control now." The Hulk begins to run towards Carl, shouting, "I don't need this." And Carl gets ready to swing his chain, telling him, "Yeah, you do." Carl lets go of the chain, sending the wrecking ball out, but as the Hulk dodges it, he punches Carl in the side. Hulk lets out a painful scream, looking at his hand, asking what just happened. "That hit hurt me, not Creel." Creel gets up laughing, asking, haha, ain't gonna be that easy for you, is it? He throws his chains around the Hulk, and as the red gamma radiation covers the Hulk's body, his powers begin to fade. The Hulk grits his teeth, kicking Carl with what strength he has left, and as Carl's body flies away, the Hulk gets a glimpse of himself in a shard of glass. Creel was draining him of his power, the same way that he drained Legowski. He gets up, his loose skin hanging off his bone, groaning. Alright, round 2. Inside Carl's mind, though, he looks around as the world begins to break, asking, what's going on? A giant head tells him, you cannot see what we are. You're speaking to a mask. Your body above is a useful one, but your mind is here below it all. You have had many chances to walk away from this, but there's no changing fate. You're a creature of sin, the oldest kind, pride, and it's a killer. Back in the real world, Hulk watches as Carl's body splits in half, leaving a shambled body with his spine and skull staring right back at the Hulk. Inside his mind, Carl cries, I'm sorry, but all Hulk can hear is a gurgled, silently. The Hulk gets up telling him, not yet, but you're gonna be. Off in the distance, Agent Burbank watches through the scope of his rifle, stating that they're not gonna believe this, but they need to patch into his visual feed now. 14 asks, what's going on? Burbank says, whatever the absorbing man's body absorbed, it's doing something weird to itself. It should be dead, but he's not. Is he winning? Carl flings his arms forward to drain more radiation out of the Hulk. Sorry. And the Hulk shouts back, nobody cares. We can both absorb gamma, so I can take it right back. You won't be getting any more out of me. Carl punches into the Hulk, and his eyes glow green, yelling, now I'm gonna take it back. He reaches out, grabbing the base of Carl Creel's spine, ripping it out, asking, does that hurt? Well, here's your ball and chain. He takes the spine and the skull, swinging it around into Carl's body, shattering it into a million pieces. Just then, a light shines down on the Hulk, and from their airship, Walter Legowski says, great, he's gotten towards someone in half. He calls out over a speaker, hey, this is Walter. And the Hulk calls back, asking, what do you want? Walter tells him, well, we don't want any trouble, but we do have weapons locked onto you, so... Before the Hulk can answer, he's shot in the eye by Burbank. And Walter yells, just so you know, that wasn't us. The Hulk grabs onto Walter's ship, shouting, Hulk, smash! And he throws the small ship into the ground. The Hulk begins to rub his eyes as growing back, asking, where's Creel going? But then it hits him. The green door. He yells out to Carl, telling him, I know what you want. But Puck appears before him, telling him, yeah. We know what you want. A couple of spare vertebrae, right? Hulk tells him, don't do it. And Puck pulls the trigger on his gun, firing a hole right through the Hulk's chest. He falls to his knees, telling Puck, you need to stop him. And Puck says, sure, you just gotta stay down, right? As Creel reaches the blast site, Hulk reaches out, crushing Puck's gun, telling him, it's the gamma. Creel is going after the rest. When the bomb went off, it opened up a door, a green door, but it didn't open all the way. If Creel absorbs the last bit of gamma in the soil, he'll be able to tear open that door. Jackie pulls herself out of the wreckage of the ship, asking, what's gonna happen when he does? But as she says that, a blinding green light shines as the door is opened, and that green begins to turn to red. The Hulk watches with Jackie asking, what the hell's going on? And the Hulk tells her, we're too late. The door is open, and as for where we are, isn't it obvious? We're where we've always been, where everyone's always been. After you enter that door, well, welcome to hell. With everything around them turning to ruin, the Hulk walks, stating, how do you get to be what you are? Jackie asks, really? That's what he wants to talk about after all of this? She just watched a man die when she asked him that. She wasn't exactly thinking straight. The Hulk laughs, telling her, that's when the truth comes out. You want the first to be obsessed because I broke your house. It happens. But you would be the first to climb into some gamma machine, imagining what it would be like to be me. Jackie pauses for a moment and says, no, she can't imagine it. What it must feel like to feel that rage, to be able to feel that rage, to be allowed to feel that rage. After everything that he's done, all of the towns that he has destroyed, the people that he has killed, though not many, but still 6 months later, he's on the Avengers. All is forgiven. He was shot into space so that he could live in peace. Your anger is indulged, respected even. Hers, it's dismissed, if she's lucky. So yeah, That is what she's been thinking. How does she get her piece of that pie? How does she get to be what he is? The Hulk looks back and tells her, "Haha, that's good. Now you talk about anger like it's something that needs to be let out, like it's useful, like it can get things done. You aren't looking away from it or calling it another name. You're not ashamed of it. Now the question is, if you could step into a gamma machine, would you?" Jackie tells him, of course, who wouldn't? But just then, the two of them hear a voice from behind them stating, "What's it like, Doc? Being the Hulk? I'll bet it was a gas." Hulk spins around hearing a familiar voice, but what he sees is the hollowed out version of Rick Jones, and he asks him, "Is it really you?" Meanwhile, Creel says over and over that he's sorry. He let this happen because of his stupid pride. He let this in. A hand reaches down to help him up, telling him to trust him when he says that evil has always been in. Creel starts getting up asking who is he, and Puck tells him Eugene Judd, codename Puck. Sometimes it's from Shakespeare, sometimes it's a hockey joke. But they can't really get too comfortable here. There's a little bit of everything happening right now. Science, magic, all of that stuff. "You may have opened the door, but you're also gonna help close it." Back across the way, Rick says, "Golly, Doc, you're in real bad shape." Jackie asks, didn't Rick Jones die? And Hulk tells her, he did. So Rick asks him, what are you gonna do? Hulk pokes his finger into the empty eye sockets of Rick Jones, stating, "You're just a skin repeating old lines." And another voice then calls out, stating, "Baby girl, don't look me in the eye." Jackie looks back stating, "Oh God," and Hulk says that he's gonna have to take a guess and state that that's the late Mr. McGee. Jackie runs over stating that they need to get him out of here, but the Hulk grabs her, telling her to just leave him. Jackie shakes the Hulk off stating, "No, you can't just leave him here, we need to. He died because of you. My father died from the stress of trying to put our lives back together after you destroyed it. He worked himself to death. What do you know about that? Who cares about him that much?" The Hulk looks up, pointing. "There's that guy." Thunderbolt Ross walks up, telling them, "Milksop, got no guts." Hulk tells him, "Yeah, Banner's father-in-law cared. Maybe not in the way that you think, but that can't be right. He's not dead. Is he?" Ross's body begins to change into the Red Hulk. And Hulk tells Jackie, "Yeah, that's how much Ross cared. Cared enough to make sure that he would kill me. You might want to step back." The Red Hulk charges forward, punching Hulk in the face, and then he throws another with the Hulk catching it, stating, "That was a nice punch from a hollow man." Red Hulk keeps swinging with Hulk asking, "What happened? Did you die and it actually stuck this time? You could have been a better father to Banner, but you just couldn't leave it be. You couldn't leave them alone." Hulk grabs Red Hulk by the face, stabbing his thumb into Red Hulk's eye, telling him, "You dead now? Good, I'll kill you twice." Hulk takes another hand and drives the thumbs into the Red Hulk's eyes, pulling apart with what strength he has until Red Hulk's body is ripped to pieces. But he doesn't stop there. He keeps punching and panting, "Hulk, kill! Hulk, kill! Hulk, kill everything!" Watching down from the entrance of the green door is Brian Banner, and he asks, "You see? Just like I've always said, the Hulk is a monster. Believe me, son, you're better off without him." And maintaining the green door portal, keeping it open, is none other than Bruce Banner himself, separated from the Hulk, screaming in pain. But where did the hatred that Brian has for his son Bruce come from? Well, it all began when Bruce was born. Brian started to drink a lot. After one night of coming home and stepping on one of Bruce's toys, he made it perfectly clear. He hated him for what he did to his wife. The simple fact that he existed upset him. His mother was happier before he was born. Now he's just some little monster. Brian threw his drink at Bruce's toy building, telling him to put it away. And when Bruce looked for comfort from his mother told him to listen to his father. That was when Bruce started to feel the rage inside of him. He took the glass and used it to break down his toys, stating, "Smash, smash, smash!" The rage persisted on in the present form of the Hulk, as he beats the last little bit of flesh out of what was once Thunderbolt Ross. The Hulk punches the flabby remains of the Red Hulk's face, shouting, "Kill everything! Hulk, 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 smash!" Jackie runs over to him, telling him to stop. She's gonna need him to stop. "Okay, big guy?" The Hulk subtly snaps back to reality, stating, "Hulk hurts. All the time it hurts. Why? Why have the Hulk hurt so much?" Jackie tells him that she doesn't know. She's sorry, but the Devil Hulk, can she speak to him? Can the Savage Hulk let the Devil Hulk out for her? Hulk stares for a moment and then says, "Okay," and he begins to wipe away the tears. He clears his throat and he tells her, "Sorry. The big guy, he's mostly inside these days. But when he really loses it, well, you saw what happens." The Hulk calms down and Jackie says that she's got another question. How long has Devil Hulk been in charge? Banner has dissociative identity disorder. That's a known fact. The Hulk is just one of those personalities, but lately, Devil Hulk's the one who's been running the show, isn't he? Hulk tells her, "Someone had to, but not during the day. That's Banner's time." Jackie points to the sun, stating, "Oh yeah? So where is Banner now then?" Hulk looks over, stating, "I'm not sure, but I got a pretty strong hunch. It's over on that cliff." Up on the cliff, Brian tells Bruce, "You understand, right? I was still a young man, and your mother, well, she once loved me dearly. Growing up with your grandfather in a house, I knew I was unworthy of her love, and that's why I never wanted children. But as time went on, I was loved. I was respected. A rising star in the field of radiation research. Gamma radiation. Back then, things were simple. Gamma radiation behaved unpredictably. Surely there was a secret as to why it did those things. One night, after staying out late, I closed my eyes, and that's when I saw it. There was something out there searching for me. There was a grotesque presence looking back at me through the crack of the door. A nightmare, cellar world underneath the floorboards of everything. I had seen its terrible eye, and nothing could ever be the same. Later that night, after coming home, that's when Rebecca told me that she was pregnant. The birth was difficult, and your mother nearly died, but it didn't matter anymore. The love for me had been replaced. And it was all your fault. And you killed me in cold blood." As Brian begins to get mad, he stops himself, saying, "No, it wasn't you. It was that monster who cast me into this hell. But things changed after the bomb. You opened up the green door, and thus you set me free. The sun's risen. High noon in hell. He's coming." Just then, a giant mass begins to take shape, reaching out to Bruce Banner. Jackie watches, stating, "It's late. That thing. Who can fight that? It's the end." And the Hulk scoffs, "Oh, that creep? He's not the end of the world." Jackie asks, "How do you know?" And the Hulk looks back smiling, "Because that's who I am." Creatures begin to pour out of the giant green mask, and the Hulk asks, "Did you hear him? I'm the Hulk, and this is my house." He begins to fight back against the creatures, but as more and more come, he hears Rick Jones telling him, "Coolin', mister." Rick then begins to change forms to help the Hulk, but also on the cliff, Puck and Creel get into position. Puck tells him, "You know what you need to do, right?" And Creel tells him, "Yeah." And he jumps onto the ledge. Brian looks back, stating, "It's you." And Creel says, "I remember who you are, Mr. Mask. You let me absorb some of this rock and I'll be right over to talk to you. You're Banner's dad, right? I read up on you while on the joint. Dug up some stuff on Banner to give me that edge. But really, it's just a sad story. See, his old man used to beat him. Used to. Until he beat the ever-living crap out of him." Brian shouts, asking, "You think you can beat me? Take your best shot." The fight below rages on as swarms of monsters slowly begin to overpower Rick and the Hulk. One monster begins to bite through Rick's body, reducing him to just strips of skin falling onto the ground. Back up top, Creel gets ready to attack, but then he stops, stating, "Actually, I'm not gonna fight you. I would lose, but I know a guy who doesn't." He takes out the Gamma Pillar, absorbing its power, rocketing off the cliff down to the only person that can help them, the Hulk. An explosion of gamma radiation lights up the area in a brilliant green glow, and from the center of it, the Hulk roars as he stands up with his newly found strength. He crushes one of the creatures, shouting to Brian, "Can you see me? What do you think, Dad?" Brian yells, "You are not my son, you never were. You are the son of one below all." The Hulk laughs, shouting, "I'm gonna try to find some secret meaning behind it all. The secret is, the Hulk is the Hulk." He claps his hands together, creating a shockwave, destroying parts of the cliff and the giant green mass, sending Brian flying off into the distance. As the echoes of the shockwave fade, Hulk looks down at Bruce's body, telling him, "That bought us a few minutes, maybe. But listen, Creel gave me the Gamma back. I can close the door and I can bring us home. But if we're not together, we're not gonna live through it." Bruce tells him, "Good, let it happen. Finally, just let it happen." Hulk stares for a moment and then tells him, "Look, I know you had me locked away. I know how scary it is. But before any of the others, I was the one protecting you. I'll always protect you. Because even though you're a stupid kid, I love you." Bruce looks back and the Hulk looks away, telling him, "Someone had to. Come on, let's get going." Hulk takes Bruce's hand, and after a moment of hesitation, Bruce reaches out to grab the Hulk's hand. Later that night, at the home of Betty Banner Ross, her phone rings, waking her from a sleep. She gets out of bed, shuffles away to the phone, and picks it up asking who's there. It's nearly midnight, and if they don't say something, she's going to hang up. Bruce's voice, in the real world, out of the green door hell, says, "Betty, I need to come home. I need to see you." Betty waits to process the voice and then asks, "Where are you calling from?"
His third gravestone was at West Point. The first was a family plot in New Hampshire where the body had already been stolen. The second, well, that was Arlington. Body was also removed. Even though he was a traitor, he did die an ex-Avenger, a servant of the government and an established figure, pardoned and forgiven, worthy of a hero's grave, hence West Point. Betty wondered which one they really thought they were burying that day. The hero, the monster, or was Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross both? This is what she wondered when she saw her father, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, buried for the third time. Steve Rogers himself could not attend the service, but Tony Stark spoke in his place to speak for the costume. And when he was done with the eulogy, he asked if anyone else had anything they'd like to share. There was one man who came forward, Reginald, 14. He told everyone that General Ross was like a father to him. Just as he stared at Betty, he spoke that General Ross had taught him many things, how to carry oneself with authority, to have confidence in one's abilities, that you cannot give no quarter to the forces of chaos that would disrupt the status quo, that there would be no harboring them in our homes or in our hearts. As General Ross was placed into the ground, 14 was given the flag, and Betty mutters under her breath that they shouldn't have had it out in the rain like that. Tony asks, "Do you know him?" And Betty tells him that they've met. Tony then says that he knows that this is hard, but this whole business with Bruce, what happened in Iowa was a mess. If Bruce had just kept his head down, they could have worked it out. The Avengers aren't the bad guys here. Bruce can't keep running forever, even with the Hulk on his side. He needs to come in. Betty doesn't answer, and Tony offers her a ride to the airport. He got this plane that can turn into a robot, and she tells him, yeah, he's also a flying death ray that blew up a town. She'll fly coach. And she did. And when she got home, she already knew what was waiting for her. Bruce stands up from the stoop, stating that he's sorry about her father. He's also sorry that it took him so long to call her. For months, she thought that he was dead, like really dead. Months of sightings, false hopes, and grief. Part of her wanted to slap him, and another part knew better and kissed him. She whispered that they're not safe here, though, to which she was correct. While Bruce and Betty were having their long-awaited meeting, Agent Burbank is just across the way, lining up his sights. Burbank reports that he has the shot, but it's not a clear one. Permission to put one through Mrs. Banner's back and finish this. 14 tells him that that's a negative. They just buried her father today. The man meant a great deal to him. He will not send his daughter to join him unless he has to. Bruce and Betty head inside, and Burbank switches to thermal, but reports that he can't tell which is which. 14 tells him to stand down. The sun's gone down, but that's when there's a click as the trigger is pulled, and there's a sklunch as the bullet slams into the side of Betty Banner's head. Burbank radios back that he has a problem. He hit the wrong one, but he can handle it. Swapping out for 1,000 call. Stand by. The Hulk screams as he charges at Burbank, and with one shot, Burbank blows up part of the Hulk's head. The Hulk slowly reaches out for Burbank, and just then, a voice tells Burbank, "At ease, soldier." Next a hand grabs him by the shoulder, tossing him back. The Hulk growls, and the man says that Betty called, said that he might be in trouble. But if the Hulk could try and stay calm, they can get through this. Trust me, I'm your doctor. Now try and stay calm. There are many questions that need answering, and Doc Samson is being truthful, because there are questions as to how he even got there. He sacrificed himself in order to save Bruce once before, but then there was a green door that opened up, and the next thing that he knew, he was crawling out of a grave. Shield thought that it could be the leader again, but the test showed that Doc Samson was free of the leader's influence. They have no idea what the green door is. Fury looked over his file and came up empty-handed as well, and he just chalked it up to, guess that happens sometimes to heroes. As far as Samson knew, though, Amadeus Cho had drained Bruce of his gamma energy. But when the news broke out that there was a Hulk sighting, he knew that he should reach out to Betty and confirm it.
which brings him here today, now with a black eye. Samson spits blood out of his mouth, telling the Hulk, "All right, let's reason this out, shall we?" The Hulk shouts, swinging wildly, and Samson jumps over him, telling him, "There's a lot of irony here. I've been trying to reach your mind, but it has to grow back first, doesn't it? Whatever the cyborg assassin shot you with, it made my therapeutic approach somewhat impossible." The Hulk grabs Samson by his arm, slamming him into the ground, shouting, "Smash! Hulk, smash! Smash green hair!" But before the Hulk can punch him again, Samson catches his breath, telling him, "Samson, Leonard Samson, you know me. I'm your therapist and you're acting out. You are smarter than this." As the Hulk's brain starts to grow back, he slows down. "Sam, son." And Samson tells him, "That's right. Remember who you are. Remember where you are. Betty's place, remember? Where's Betty?" The Hulk looks back, telling him, "Betty, the plastic man, he hurt Betty. Hulk has to." And Samson asks, "Wait, what happened? What happened to Betty, Hulk?" As the last bits of his head heals, he turns back, telling him, "She was shot. That's what happened. Through the head. Sniper fire from the cyborg. Now he's gone. Are you happy?" The two head back into Betty's house, and as Samson looks at the blood on the ground, he asks, "Where's her body, Hulk?" The Hulk points to a giant hole in the wall. "My guess is that she went that way while we were busy. I knew Banner seeing Betty was a bad idea." Samson then asks, "So what is the relationship between you and Banner, Hulk?" "I hear stories." Hulk rubs his head, telling him, "We don't talk much. Not in words, at least. Banner's life was crazy, and it got much worse since I was gone. Nobody saw. Nobody wanted to. But Banner was so broken that he set up his own murder. All that did was break him even more. Then there was a Hulk that came out to work for Hydra. Big ball of rage and nothing else. Wordless thing that didn't care who it hurt. But it was taken care of. That thing's in pieces, locked away somewhere. As long as I'm around, that thing is never getting out. First thing I did when Banner let me loose, somebody has to take charge." Samson asks, "What does that make you? Which Hulk are you?" Hulk turns away, not answering. But he tells him, "Banner needed a dad, or something like that. A dad who loved him, but he didn't know what love was. I can't be out during the day, and I don't come out unless I have to. Unless somebody hurts Banner. And when somebody hurts Banner, I take it personally." Samson follows behind him, telling him, "All this talk of letting loose and being locked away. Bruce mentioned a persona like that once. A Hulk that he had to actively lock away in his mind. A Devil Hulk. A Hulk who, if ever got out, would be the end of the world. Tony Stark told me about when you fought, and the name that you responded to. Are you the Devil Hulk?" Hulk gets ready to jump, asking, "You just figured that out, huh? Well, come on if you're coming. We gotta be somewhere." Samson jumps on just behind the Hulk, telling him, "I'm glad that the world's still intact." And Hulk stops him, telling him, "Actually, that's exactly what I'm here to do. The human world needs to go. Let's start with the nukes. The president can end all life in minutes, and the whole world is designed to make it that easy. But maybe it won't happen. Maybe it won't even matter. The planet's already boiling over to death. Wildfires, hurricanes, whole chunks of the food chain are dying off. Every time you hear about it, it gets worse. Less time, less hope, but the humans in charge pretend they don't even believe it. So you wonder why I'm angry? You want to know why I want to end the human world, Samson? Because if I do, maybe some of them will live." As the two land in the cemetery, Samson asks, "Is this where Betty went? Is she even alive?" And the Hulk responds, "Of course she is. Just think about it. Banner watched you die and here you are. You're part of the club, just like Betty. You, her, me, and him." Hulk points at the grave and Samson says, "Oh, why does this keep happening to them? Why are they still here?" And the two look down at the empty grave of Rick Jones, and the Hulk tells him, "Don't ask me." The next day, the sun is setting in New Mexico, and Bruce says, "Here." Samson lands with a loud thump, and he asks if this is the spot, and Bruce goes on telling him, "It's the tunnel that the Hulk dug. It's where the government brought him after Iowa." So Samson asks, "Are you sure that this is where they brought Rick's corpse?" And Bruce tells him, "Yeah. It fits the facts as we know them. Rick's body was exhumed by a literal Men in Black. We gotta save Rick." Samson then asks, "What about Betty? Doesn't she need us too? She was shot dead, and then she got up again and smashed through a wall. Look, we've been traveling all day. Not to push, but we just need to stop and talk for a few moments, Bruce." But Bruce looks over at the setting sun, telling him, "I'm sorry, but we're out of time for this session." He begins to change into the Hulk, and then the Hulk asks, What's with the face, Samson? Samson looks away, telling him, nothing. I don't suppose you can tell me what happened here. The Hulk looks down at the hole and he tells him, I ate a guy. He was annoying. Are we doing this or what? Once the two go down below, the Hulk sifts through the wreckage, and Samson then asks, you think they brought Rick here? The Hulk tells him, no, but we're gonna find something though. With me on the loose, they're gonna want to leave in a hurry. Hulk then stops to sniff the air, and he tells him, I smell some gamma. He rips back the door and the two look inside, and Samson says, left something behind. You meant clues. Hulk readies himself looking at the big gamma-infused beast, telling him, sure, these are my kind of clues. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Dr. McGowan looks down at the thing on the table, telling everyone that the cocoon stage is almost complete, General 14. She then quietly says, I'm sorry, Jones. I'm really sorry. 14 looks at his tablet, telling McGowan to keep things professional. 14 then looks at the security feed from the shadow base the Hulk is fighting in, and he tells him, good. Spring the trap on my signal. Back over in California at Betty's destroyed home, the detective tells Jackie McGee that this is officially a missing persons case. And Jackie asks, unofficially? The detective tells her that the forensics team found blood, bone fragments, and brain matter. Somebody died in that house before it got smashed, judging by the spatter. Jackie then asks, do you think the Hulk did this? And the detective tells her, no, but we found the bullet. But whatever brought that wall down left behind this. The detective pulls out a bag with a large red feather, and Jackie asks, what is it? The detective tells her that he's not sure. Right now, she's the Hulk expert. What kind of Hulk leaves feathers behind? Up in a tree, Betty is perched, watching. Back at the underground lab, the Hulk rips and tears his way through the gamma beast, and Samson then tells him, you really like doing that, huh? Hulk stops. Yeah, I really did. And that ain't good. Samson tells him, no, it's not healthy. I've been waiting for you to realize that. But the Hulk snaps at him. Shut up! It's not like that! What shadow base lets bioweapons have free range? They set them loose so that I'd have something to fight. Keeps me happy. Keeps me distracted. Just then, dozens of lights turn on and the Hulk screams as he reverts back to Bruce. Bruce looks around asking, I'm awake, but it's nighttime. Burbank walks up, changing his arm into a gun, telling them, UV radiation mixed with visible light. We call them solar emitters. Got the idea from Iowa. He opens fire, shooting Samson in the head, and then he changes his hand into a pistol, shooting Bruce in the stomach. Bruce runs over and Burbank continues to fire, telling him, I know what 14's gonna say. Agent Burbank, don't play with their food. Burbank shouts to laugh, shouting, Bruce Banner is here, and Bruce Banner is going to die nice and slow. Bruce turns the corner, catching his breath, and as he waits, he laughs to himself. Bruce Banner, I got some news for you, big shot. I ain't Bruce Banner. Burbank, the soldier chasing Bruce Banner through the military facility, asks where did he go. But the man inside of Bruce's head tries to look around to find something useful. He sees a display of gamma-charged bugs and he quickly smashes the glass. Burbank looks around the corner only to see the man that looks like Bruce grabbing a fistful of sand and throwing it in Burbank's eyes. The man asks, how does it feel to have radioactive ants in your eyes, big shot? I thought really smarts, but not as much as... The man then punches Burbank in the chin, crushing his own hand. And Burbank tells him, okay, the ants were a shock, but punching me in the face? The man stumbles back, asking him, what the heck are you even made out of? Burbank points the gun at him, telling him, super tough plastic, courtesy of the CIA. I'm a cyborg, Bruce, and you're... But the man interrupts, I'm not Bruce. The man grabs Burbank's arm, twisting it, telling him, my name is Joe. As Joe kneels Burbank in the groin, he asks, those aren't made of plastic, are they? Having fun yet? 'Cause I am. Over at the new shadow base, everyone begins to ask, who is Joe? And McGowan tells one of the operators to cross-check the old Ross files. Images start to appear on the monitor, and then they stop on the one gray-skinned Hulk. The operator then says that Banner once worked for a Las Vegas casino under the name Joe Fixit. His skin was gray at the time, but he was also vulnerable to sunlight back then. McGowan then asks if there's anything stopping Banner from going through a personality shift without hulking out. Isn't that against the rules? And 14 tells her, if there's something that he's taught me, it's not to look at the rules. Back at the base, Joe runs towards the exit, but when he sees that it's blocked, he looks around for something else to use. Seeing his own reflection in the fish tank, he takes advantage to talk to the other personalities inside of himself, asking the Hulk, how's my driving so far? Yeah. Well, you ain't the boss of me, Pally. He then notices something. The fish tank doesn't have a wall, and it leads to another office, one full of computers. He smashes his way through, and as he steps foot into the room, the solar emitters turn up their intensity. Joe begins to struggle, telling himself, okay, they're driving me out, but I just came to get the info that I needed. If there's one thing that Bruce wasn't, it was a hacker. Getting into this computer is going to be tricky. Unless he looks around at all of the sticky notes on the computer and the pencil next to the keyboard, and he grabs it, shading over the indentations of the previous user. After getting what looks like a username and a password, he types both of those in, asking, "How's that for Banasmots?" A few moments pass, and as the computer screen begins to read, resetting, Burbank turns the corner, telling him, "You're done now. Too bad we couldn't play some more." Burbank opens fire, shooting Joe several times, and 14 tells him, "All right, get to work cutting him up." Burbank then turns his hand into a chainsaw, kneeling down beside Joe. But Joe tells him, wait a second," pushing Burbank's arm away. Burbank asks, "What is it? Why are you feeling stronger than before?" And Joe tightens his grip, throwing Burbank, telling him, "I said, wait a second. Really? You're really gonna want to hear this." Joe gets up as blood is pouring out of him, telling him, "It's kinda weird why Coach would put me in to take over this body. Why would he do that? I don't even like Banner." And now I get it. Banner's all about science and senses. Burbank changes his hand into a shotgun, telling Joe to stay back, and he fires the shells into Joe, but Joe just walks into them. Joe tells him, "I'm having such a good time. I like using my head. I like to figure stuff out, like ways to hurt people." As Joe smiles, his eyes change from gray to green, and he points up at the emitters, telling him, "You know, you can program these things from here. You know that, right? Those UV lights hurt, so what do? You turn up the dial." Funny story about that, though. Past visible light is ultraviolet. Tighten that wavelength, you get X-rays. And past that, you get gamma radiation. Joe begins to choke as his body is changing into the Hulk, and soon the Hulk begins to absorb Burbank. 14 begins to call out over the radio, asking Burbank to respond, but the operator quickly says, "Oh God, the mountain, it's gone." And McGowan says that all that gamma radiation was absorbed. Guess it was released, and 14 stops her, asking, "What of Subject B? Tell me it's ready." McGowan leads 14 back into the lab, stating, "Well, after using Rick Jones' body, we managed to create a shell of gamma-activated tissue recovered from the corpse of Emil Blonsky. It woke up today, General, and it looked at us. You want to eliminate human error? Because trust me, there's nothing human in there. And in the test tube before them is a giant hulking abomination reaching out his hand." A short while later, at the remains of the shadow base, a hand reaches out of the ground and Samson pulls himself out, telling them, "Here we go again, climbing out of the ground." But as he stands up, a voice calls out to him, telling him, "Excuse me." Samson looks up and Walter Legowski tells him, "I'm with Gamma Flight. Could you, tell me what happened?" Samson looks up and Walter Legowski tells him. Samson sighs, pointing behind him. "Big guy went that way." 8 days later, Jackie heads to Betty's house to try and make sense of what actually happened. And Jackie looks around with her flashlight, telling herself that she's not sure what the detective thinks that she will find. No one will be able to tell them, except that's when a voice says, "Smashed." Jackie gasps as she drops the flashlight, and Betty crawls out in her harpy form, telling her, "My life, myself, all of it, smashed by him and me." Betty sniffs the air, telling her, "He's close, hiding. He always hides. Who is he?" "But you saw, yes?" Meanwhile, over at Reno, Joe Fixit sits down holding up a piece of paper, telling them, "Okay, here's what it looks like to me." The paper reads, "Banner form." That's Bruce and Joe Fixit. They can control banner form. Hulk form is Devil Hulk, Savage/Child Hulk, and the currently missing or dormant Professor Hulk, and the Green Scar. Hulk stares at him through the reflection, and Joe says, "I know, it's rules, it's structure. I hate it. But since I've been away for a while, it's time to start pulling my own weight. It can't always be the Hulk doing things. It can't be too chaotic. Not if we really want to end the world, Devil Hulk. Another thing is, what should I call you? can't just be Hulk. There's too many Hulks. And Devil Hulk just seems like we're tempting fate here. We could start calling you my... But before he could finish, a scream can be heard coming from the outside. Over in the lobby, the giant creature from the second shadow base walks in holding a woman in his hands like mouth. The woman from behind the counter screams, and she begins to pray. But the Hulk bursts through, punching the creature away. The creature gets back up and it slowly crawls towards the Hulk, mumbling. Hulk stares, stating, I know exactly what you are. An abomination. Let me guess, Shadow Base sent you? That you and their Blonsky? They dig you up again? Or did they get someone else to be Abomination? The creature lunges, clawing at the Hulk's face, yelling, Hulk! Hulk grabs the creature by the arms, asking, what is it with you saying my name over and over again? Did they condition you? Program you? Or are you a machine? As the creature leans in, it opens up its hands that are covering its face, and it reveals two twisted faces. Hulk is taken aback, shouting, Rick Jones? Hulk steps back, shouting, Jones or not, I'm done playing nice. He winds up and punches, but the creature grabs Hulk with its face hands, and then suddenly, sploink! Green ooze pours out of the creature's face, and then the Hulk pulls his arm back to see his arm is now melting away. Hulk shouts, asking, Why? Why isn't this healing? And the Rick faces ask him, Help me! Kill me! When suddenly it begins to vomit up more acid. But across the way, the woman escaping sees a group of men and she shouts, asking, Are you cops? I need help! My friend was killed! And one of the men tells her, Easy, it's okay now. It's all good. We're handling it. And that's when the man puts a gun to her head, shooting her. He then radios back to Shadow Base, telling them, Agent Hurst, civilian attempted evac, but the perimeter remains secure. Another voice calls out, Agent Hurst, was it? Jackie McGee, Arizona Herald. I have some questions for you. The men all turn around and they see Betty and Jackie. Killed her. Why? Betty asks. The men open fire, but Betty in her harpy form lunges at them. And that's when Hurst shouts, I was following orders! And Betty rips his head off with her talons. Jackie yells for Betty, telling her to stop, but as the men beg to not be killed, Betty tears the second man in half, throwing his torso across the parking lot. The third shoots, shouting to get back. She's a monster! And she grabs him by the arm and the head. But before the man could finish his sentence, she squeezes down on his head, ripping it off his body. Jackie asks, Why? Why did you kill them? All you had to do was take their guns away. And Betty looks down, telling her, Yes, all dead now. No insignia, no markings, no rules. Mercenaries? Maybe. Not soldiers. Might have killed you. Jackie tells her, Yeah, might. I'm only human. But this, having the power of a Hulk, you have the power not to do this, Betty. Betty looks down at her. But this is me. And you watch, you follow, question and judge. You want to know, but don't want to know. That's you. Betty then walks through the parking lot, and when she looks over, she sees the Hulk laying with both of his arms and his legs melted away by the Abomination's acid. Hulk says, Hulk hurts! Hulk hurts! Betty starts to sniff the air, telling him, I know you in there. The boy man. Hulk asks, Betty, Hulk heard a voice. Heard Betty's voice. What is Betty doing? Betty digs her talons into the Hulk's chest, and Hulk says, Hulk hurts. Betty is red. Help, Hulk. And she stabs her claws into his chest and begins to rip him open. He shouts, asking, What is Betty doing? Help, Hulk. And after clawing and digging, Betty pulls out his heart and she begins to eat it. In the far below, Brian Banner tells Bruce, Welcome home, son. Bruce begins to look around, asking, This place, have I ever really left? Brian tells him, Well, in one sense, yes. In one sense, no. You have not since the bomb killed you the first time, but in another, you're always coming and going. You and the others go in and out of the green door. We've had conversations like this many times before, but you wouldn't remember. Bruce grabs Brian by the shirt, shouting that he manipulated everyone around him so that he could split him off of the Hulk to bind him to some cosmic Satan. Brian begins to laugh, telling him, the one below all. We didn't come to them. They had to open up the green door from your side. They came to us. And sometimes that's how you show love, by putting in a little effort. Bruce lets go, asking, wait, what others? And Brian tells him, oh, you know, the delinquent, the quack, the old goat, the copycat, your wife. Bruce stumbles back and Brian goes on telling him, it's true. Better pass through here, all of them. This is their home. This is where they belong. This is where Gamma is from. One form of it anyway, the hidden form. Not a particle, not a wave, an emanation of the divine, give or take. Bruce begins to shout, no. Gamma radiation is a measurable scientific phenomenon. Brian stops him. It's many things, above sure, below it's a magic spell. Everything is more than one thing, Bruce. Are you a man yearning to escape hell? Or are you a monster wanting to bring it to Earth? Can't you, of all the people, see the middle ground? Bruce snaps at him. I can't think of anyone else that deserves to be in this hell alone. And Brian smiles. Who said I was alone? Brian motions back and Bruce sees a woman. His mother. He stops, stunned. Is that? And Brian tells him, yes. She visits me sometimes, not long enough. Bruce begins to cry, calling out for his mother, and Brian tells him, stop embarrassing yourself. As Bruce's mother begins to walk away, he screams, crying for her to stop, to look at him, please. And back above, the Hulk begins to open up his eyes, stating, okay, I got you, kid. I've always got you. As the Immortal Hulk punches the creature, he tells them, we need to be careful though. This thing's got stomach acid that can burn our skin. And Betty asks, stomach acid? No, stomach. No, acid. She begins to bury her talons into the creature's torso, ripping out its stomach. Betty looks up and stares for a moment. Don't hurt me again. And Hulk tells her, deal. And when he looks over at Jackie, he asks, what the hell are you doing here? Jackie tries to put the words together and asks, but how? Betty took out your heart and ate it. And Hulk tells her, sure, hard reset. Killing me jumpstarts the healing. Welcome to my world. Now answer the question. Jackie goes on stating that she supposes they should get a story from Mrs. Banner on what happened back in California. Well, she found one. As Jackie goes on, Hulk notices some lights off in the distance, and he tells Jackie, down. But before she can ask what he's talking about, a giant aircraft swoops by, firing down on Hulk, Betty, and the creature. Hulk turns around, ready to stop the creature. But Betty flies in, grabbing it, telling Hulk to see to the human. Jones belongs to me. As Betty flies up, she digs the talon into the creature's neck and begins to drag it down, opening his chest up even more. She then releases the creature, letting it crash down onto the flying gunship. With a loud boom, it falls, and just before it hits the ground, the Hulk smiles, stating, ha, catch. He lands, punching the mangled ship into the second ship, causing the both of them to explode in a fiery blaze. Jackie walks up, stating that she heard Amadeus Cho had a theory that Bruce was always subconsciously working to stop him from killing anyone. And Hulk tells her, yeah, I heard that. Little screwy, but it made sense. For the other Hulks at least. Now where's Jones? Betty flaps her wings, stating, here. And Hulk walks over, ripping open the rest of the creature. There's a loud whoosh as the skin is filleted. And the Hulk asks, what does this do? Guess we'll find out. In the side of the creature, the Hulk pulls out the small, withered body of Rick Jones. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Bruce stands alone in the void when he hears a voice calling out to him, and they ask, do you know who we are? Do you know where she is? After everything that led you here, after the Horsemen of War, in your nightmare armor, after everything that's happened, where are you at the end of all things? Jebera or Galachub? The man or the monster? What are you, Bruce Banner of Earth? The being of light slowly descends and they ask, and what will you become? The next day at Shadow Base Site B, 14 sits in the Redeemer armor going through the last diagnostics when McGowan says that she wants him to know that she does not approve of this. 14 sighs, stating that she doesn't seem to approve of much lately. and McGowan asks if he means the murder of civilians by unleashing the Abomination. 14 stops her. Collateral damage. It's a term we've been using here since the 60s. Surely you've heard of it. McGowan tells him yes. She registered her complaints about that, but the translocation is easily the most dangerous method of instant travel. Unless you are Reed Richards and can calculate the variables in your head, this is a terrible idea. 14 tells her, yes, hence the armor. If I miss the target, I can survive in open space. 14 then steps onto the platform and tells the operators to flip the switch. McGowan calls out to the others, telling them to shut it down. They need to double check, no, triple check before they do this. But the transport process begins, and 14 says that the difference between them, that he chooses not to be owned by random factors. They can rule over chaos. Have faith. Meanwhile, up at the Alpha Flight space station, Carl Creel and his wife Titania sit discussing their plans as to what to do next, when suddenly 14 appears in front of them. Creel gets up asking, "What is?" But before he can finish, a dart is shot into his head and he quickly loses the ability to maintain his shape. Titania jumps up shouting, "What did he do?" But 14 tells her that it was just fentanyl. Her husband might be hard to kill, but he has shown a weakness to drugs in the past. 14 fires 3 more darts, and once Titania finally passes out, he moves forward onto the next. In the next room, Samson tells Walter that they need to be careful with this. There's no telling what can happen if they touch it with their bare hands. Walter tells him that he'll be fine. The Hulk left us behind, so it's their job to figure out what the hell this thing is. It's like a suit of biological armor. A shell. You don't suppose. But before he could finish, Puck is shot in the head with a dart, and then Samson is hit with 3. Walter calls out to Samson, but Samson swings, telling him, "I'm fine, just a little." 14 catches him by the hair, holding his fist up, telling him that he's back in the world of the living. Oh well, easy come, easy go. 14 then shoots Samson in the head, tossing his body aside. Walter then quickly grabs a rifle, but 14 tells him that he is still at fault for what happened back in Minnesota. Walter says that he can eat this, and the trigger is pulled and the gun misfires. 14 holds up his gun, telling Walter that this is goodbye, and he fires 3 shots into him. After 14 hears no others up in the space station, he radios to Shadow Base, stating that the retrieval of the shell is complete. No human casualties. McGowan asks, "No human casualties? What is that supposed to mean?" And once 14 returns, he gets out of the suit and he takes a look at the shell. He tells the workers handling it to bring it here, and one of them says that Dr. McGowan wouldn't approve. 14 tells him that McGowan can register her complaints and continue her work, as she always does, as she always will. Now bring it here. He extends his hand, and just as the worker tells him not to touch it, the creature lunges forward, pulling 14 into itself. And after a few short moments, 14 sits up, now in control of Abomination. A short while later, McGowan runs in shouting, "What the hell is wrong with you? First you kill 2 Gamma Flight members retrieving the shell on a so-called stealth mission, and then you do this? Are you wearing it? Are you bonded with it? The Abomination suit? How is it even possible? We're gonna have to run some tests." But 14 looks down, telling her that he is in control here. He is in full control, and with that his nose begins to bleed. McGowan tells him that he has a little, but 14 tells her, "Yes, there are some side effects, minor side effects, but I am the Abomination." He leans down, stating, "We fight monsters. We make weapons. The Abomination is a monster, a terror against society, but now it is a weapon. My weapon, McGowan." Meanwhile, in California, Betty sits with Rick as he lays in a tub, quietly mumbling to himself. There's a knock at the door, and Joe asks if everything is okay in there. She's been in there since dawn. They really should talk. Betty changes to her harpy form, opening up the door. "Yes?" And Joe says, "I was, wondering if there's any change in Rick." Betty looks back. "He made a noise. Maybe." And Joe tells her, "That's great, but I really need to talk to you. And it's day, so you should, be able to change back." Betty tells him, "Yes." And Joe asks, "Are you going to?" She pauses for a moment and tells him, "No, this is me." Joe tells her, "Well, okay. I'm gonna go check on McGee and get some lunch. Do You want anything? Betty closes the door. No, thank you. Goodbye. As she sits down, she reverts to her human form, keeping watch over Rick. And as soon as Joe steps outside, Betty shouts for him to come back. Something's happening! Joe and Jackie rush in, and out of the bathroom, a glowing green Rick walks out stating, Groom Lake! Under the ground! They're under Groom Lake! Oh God, I remember, Bruce. I remember everything. I remember everything that they did to me. Meanwhile, back up at the Alpha Flight space station, Puck asks if they are at Groom Lake, the military base in Nevada. The operator says that this is correct. They have tracked down the translocation signal back to its source. The fellow that killed Dr. Lane Kakowski came from right underneath that lake bed. Puck begins to crack his knuckles, saying, now that we know where the Gamma Corps are, how about we get a little payback? Samson asks how they're going to do that, and Puck tells him that they have their own translocation rig, strictly used for emergencies. It's beyond dangerous. That is unless you've got data on another translocation station to lock onto. So as everyone gets onto the platform, Samson asks if this is really that simple. What if they know that they're coming? And Puck laughs. They'd have to be psychic! But as Puck, Samson, Creel, and Titania teleport into Shadowbase, 14 responds, actually, we are. Remote viewing. The military applications were first explored by the Russians during the Cold War, but we've closed the gap quickly. We have our own wave of psychic surveillance technicians who can reach anywhere, and once they have a location, even in orbit, we have absolute informational capacity. Incidentally, Dr. Samson, it is fascinating to see you up and about so quickly. Those recovery periods seem shorter each time. I'll make sure Dr. McGowan concentrates on that aspect. Samson looks up at 14 asking, what have you done? Why would you do this to yourself? And 14 smiles. I did this to win the war, to bring order to a world without any. As green blood begins to drip from 14's nose, Samson leans back telling him, nothing is worth, wait, Lord, do you even know what you've lost? 14 laughs. I will know once the Scientine gives me the data. Once they're ready, we'll finally bring down the... But before he could finish, there's a loud boom, boom, off in the distance. Everyone stops. They all go quiet, listening as that sound gets louder and louder. Puck cracks his knuckles and 14 asks, how? How did he know? And at that moment, a giant green fist punches through the ceiling, and from it, the Hulk jumps in, stating, knock, knock. Hulk falls onto the floor after tearing his way in, and the only thing that 14 can see is the giant smile on the Immortal Hulk's face. 14 tells the soldiers to get some room between them, but before they can attack, Rick tells Jackie that it's time for them to go. They have other things that they need to take care of. As Betty flies away, Jackie says that was 14 down there. That thing, that abomination, had his face, and Rick tells her, yeah, I can guess how. That guy has a lost cause and he made himself into this. If anything, it makes it easier, right? Figure the plan's going pretty well. The distraction part anyway. Back in the main unit, the Hulk grabs onto one of the large mech suits, crushing it, asking, are we having fun yet? Titania asks, great. Are we helping the Hulk now? And Creel tells her that it looks like it. Now get behind him. 14 shouts to the trank units to focus on the Absorbing Man and Titania. Bring them down! Dozens of darts fire at Creel, the Absorbing Man, but as the needles hit his skin, he says, these have fentanyl in them, right? Smart. I'm not so good with drugs. Too bad the needle made out of titanium is what touched my skin first. This time, I was ready for you. Creel charges at the soldiers, now clad in titanium, and 14 tells them, retreat and reload! I'll handle Creel! Southeast unit, target the Hulk! The Hulk smashes another mech unit, telling him, yeah, target me! What the hell's a Southeast unit anyway? But before he could finish, another soldier in a mech suit tells him, SE unit, solar emitter unit, hold still please. As the lights shine on the Hulk, he screams in pain as he reverts back to Bruce Banner. This version of the Hulk can only be the Immortal Hulk at night. Bruce shouts, no, it's not my time, fight it, Hulk! Titania begins punching 14, telling Creel to hurry up and absorb him already. But Creel says, I can't! 14, he ain't right! 14 holds Creel down, telling the heavy unit to go full auto. They'll bag up the pieces when they finish here. Meanwhile, back with the Hulk/Bruce, he struggles as he begins to change back into himself, but as the soldiers get ready to open fire, Samson throws himself between Bruce and the soldiers. The guns go off, ripping into Samson, and Puck shouts, "That's it! I was being nice, but now you've annoyed me." Puck jumps down on the solar emitter mech, ripping it open and starts tearing out the brain and spine that are controlling it. He then leaps off, stating, "When you go to hell, tell them Puck sent you there. They'll know me down there." As Puck smashes the brain on the ground, Hulk slowly pulls himself together, stating, "It's my time, and Banner said to fight, so I'm only obeying orders." Over in the monitoring room, Dr. McGowan is watching as the Hulk mangles more and more soldiers, quietly stating that she knew that this wasn't going to work. And at that moment, the wall begins to glow green as it begins to melt away. Rick walks in. "Knock, knock. Who's there, Rick?" "Ira." "Ira who, Rick?" "I remember you, Dr. McGowan. You said you were sorry." McGowan begins to cry, stating to please let these people go. She is the one that they want. She deserves this. She deserves everything that is coming to her. But the rest, they're just doing their jobs. Jackie stands between them, stating, "It's okay. No one's gonna hurt anyone. Right, Rick?" And Rick tells her, "I'm not really sure I can promise that," but then they all notice the test tube and someone glowing inside. Betty says, "Yes, that's the boy. Was it them who did this?" And McGowan says, "No, they found him like this, or at least Banner did. The boy spent months in the grave. His mind it's gone. We've been trying to ease his pain." Rick pauses for a moment and floats down, stating, "Well, that goes a long way with me." Back with the others, heavy units begin opening fire with lasers into Creel, and 14 tells them to keep oscillating the thermal frequency. "Don't give him a chance to become the energy." Titania runs up telling Creel that he's got to keep it together. "Come on, baby, wake up." And as she turns her back, another soldier fires an electrical blast into her back and says that he got her. Titania is down, and so is Puck. 14 is struggling with the Hulk during this time, stating, "All we needed was the proper equipment." And the Hulk begins to laugh. "Don't kid yourself. You and your tin soldiers are just dime store versions of Ross, dime store versions of Blonsky, dime store versions of the Hulk." 14 tells him, "Oh no, I'm the upgrade, the superior weapon. You want a trick? Here." He widens his mouth as green acid bubbles out and he begins to vomit it all over the Hulk's face and chest. The Hulk stumbles back, shouting in pain as his skin is melting away. And 14 laughs, stating, "Oh, this is it. Full power. On my signal, put him down like the animal he is. He's finished." 14 watches the Hulk, but instead of falling to the ground, he begins to pull off his skin until he rips off the parts covered in acid. His organs fall out of his exposed chest and skull as he yells, "Hulk, smash!" 14 begins to step back, staring at the Hulk's skull, telling the soldiers to move to the opposite flanks, and on his mark, hit him with the alternating blasts. They're gonna goad him and divide his attention. The stress he was just under put him back into the child version of himself. The savage Hulk is in charge now, not the Immortal. But this Hulk, he is stronger, he is angrier, and he wants to smash. But it doesn't have the brain power to strategize against a superior. The Hulk laughs, throwing bits of acid-covered flesh at the soldiers. "Bedanger!" Hulk points at 14. "I'm real angry. I'm real angry. And the angrier I get, you know the rest." And soldiers begin to run in, but as 14 gets ready to spit more acid, the Hulk moves out of the way and 14 hits the soldiers. The soldiers are all screaming in pain as 14's acid is now burning them away. And everyone gasps as one of the mech soldiers says that they died. He killed them. 14 wipes his mouth, telling him that it was an accident, their own fault. They should have been more careful. This is war. Friendly fire is what happens. The Hulk tells him, "Yeah, until you run out of friends." Just then, McGowan calls over the intercom that this is Dr. Charlene McGowan, head of the Science Division. She is hereby relieving General 14 of his command. He's no longer in his right mind. He is not the general that they once knew. All personnel stand down immediately. And 14 turns, panicking. No, you! I'll destroy you! He grabs a hold of the Hulk as he begins to spit acid into his face, and the Hulk grabs onto 14's face and neck and begins to squeeze. The Hulk's face mostly melts away, and 14 begins to yell,
No, you damned monster, you're dying. You're already dead. Already dead.
As he blinks, he finds himself in a twisted wasteland. And he asks, what is this place? Brian Banner, Bruce's father, the man in hell, tells him that this is where he has always been, where all of them have always been. Welcome, General 14. Welcome to our little family. Meanwhile, back on the surface, and a withered Samson, down in this hell, says that he's sorry, but he did warn him. But if it's any consolation, he's pretty sure it doesn't last. 14 looks at his hand, stating that no, he doesn't want this. He never, this is his soul. And Brian starts laughing, stating, isn't it fun? So many of you. It's like a party. You've outdone yourself, Bruce. Bruce grabs 14 from behind, telling him that that's just it. He ain't Bruce. It's Joe Chill. And 14 asks what is he doing, but before he could finish, Joe Chill snaps 14's neck, telling him that the party is over. As the green door opens, and the Hulk revives again, comes back to life on the surface world, he wakes up hearing a soldier shaking the body of 14, telling him to please get up. The Hulk stands up, grabbing the soldier, telling him that he's sorry, but his boss ain't coming back. After twisting his body, Samson then asks, was that necessary? And the Hulk says, yeah, welcome back, Samson. Go wait with the other good guys. By the time that they wake up, I'll be out of your hair. Samson asks who's they, Betty and Rick, and the Hulk tells him and anyone else who wants to be a good guy. Shadow Base is under new management, and McGowan's got a guilty conscience. They've got her on their side. They've got $1 billion black budget, tech bases nobody knows about, and soon they can really get to work. Nice chair. Samson then asks what is he planning on taking over Shadow Base. These people signed up to kill him, and the Hulk stops, stating that 14 did. But from what Jones said, McGowan ain't the same way. Her, we can deal with. And why do you care? Ain't you with Creel and the rest? Samson sighs, telling him that he doesn't think that they need him around, and not now at least. Someone needs to be here to keep watch on. The Hulk steps up, sitting down in the chair, telling him, that's fine, just don't get in my way, Samson. Banner's with me on this one. So's the big guy. Even Joe Fixit's coming around. If we work together, we're gonna be the strongest and smartest one that there is. Relax, Samson. Everything's gonna turn out fine in the Immortal Hulk's hands. As the screen flickers on, an image of Bruce Banner appears and he tells the world, hello. For those who don't know, my name is Robert Bruce Banner, and as many of you know, I am the Hulk. I'm broadcasting from a secret location under the aegis of Shadow Base, an organization that was, until recently, tasked to vivisect me and create weapons from my body. For that purpose, they were allocated a black budget, or a covert, deniable revenue stream funneled from our nation's military of $1.2 billion. That money could have been spent on education or medicine or help build the renewable energy infrastructure that we're going to need to survive the coming century. More likely, it would have been spent on more guns or more bombs or more camps. But, well, that's the world we live in, isn't it? The human world. Let's talk about the human world. And a few days later, after that broadcast at a Massachusetts diner, Bruce Banner sits alone, stating that this is probably the best clam chowder that he's ever had, compliments to the chef. The cook behind the counter tells him that he appreciates it. It was his father's recipe. Naturally, the clams were hand-caught. Bruce gives him a lighthearted laugh, telling him, naturally. But just then, the door opens up, and Amadeus Cho comes in, telling him that he had to lose the paparazzi. Figured this was something that they wouldn't want the whole country to see. And regarding that, there's one thing that he wanted to ask Bruce Banner. What the hell are you doing? That little pirated broadcast? That was a manifesto. We both have had our brush with Hulk syndrome, had voices in our head that thought that they knew better. So again, for real, what the hell are you doing, Bruce? Meanwhile, back at Shadow Base, Samson helps with his new equipment, stating, Hulk syndrome? That must be something that Amadeus came up with. Essentially, gamma mutation has been known to cause symptoms similar to dissociative identity disorder. It happened to Bruce, it happened to me. Jen Walter seems to have it now. Amadeus suspected it because they all took their gamma radiation from Bruce, who already has dissociative identity disorder when he became the Hulk. Dr. McGowan asks if that means that the gamma transfer reflects the mental condition of the gamma donor. Samson goes on stating that Amadeus seems to think so. That basically, because Bruce Banner has multiple personalities, if he gives you a gamma-based ability, such as turning into a Hulk, you're also going to get split personalities. The other option is that Bruce also has Hulk syndrome on top of his pre-existing split personality condition, which has me wondering, why would you suddenly go from fighting the Hulk to now following him? McGowan, who once worked for Shadowbase, last stating that they must remember that General 14 was the only thing keeping them out of jail, and he's gone. But also, their job was to study Bruce, and now that he lives here, well, what they're learning from him, they can do so much good. Adele here, they could give him his life back. They could give Rick Jones his face back. Samson then asks how much of this is guilt talking. For everything that they did to Bruce and the Hulk before she sided with him. Dr. McGowan pauses for a moment and then says that Bruce is right. What he's saying, those broadcasts that he's making, she honestly thinks that he's right. She believes in Bruce Banner. Does Samson? Bruce explains the recent events of the capture of Shadowbase and how he is now the commander of Shadowbase, stating how Dr. Charlene McGowan is the key to their success. Rick told him that she put her life on the line for the team. Those who stayed at the base with her, she has their absolute loyalty. She has chosen to work with Hulk, so now he has the absolute loyalty of all the soldiers following her, as since she is following him. So Amadeus asks him, what happened to the old Shadowbase commander? And Bruce stares without saying anything. So Amadeus moves on. Okay, another question. We're both Gamma guys. If I die, will I stay dead? Bruce laughs, telling him, personally, I wouldn't risk dying. There really aren't any rules for this. General Ross is still dead, and so is Walter. Amadeus tells him, yeah, but he read that he came back the first time. Which reminds him that reporter friend Jackie, she wanted an interview. Bruce says that Jackie is more of Hulk's friend. And Amadeus says, yeah? And which Hulk is she friends with? Bruce picks up a spoon and looks down at the Hulk's reflection, stating, the green scar. He and the professor are dormant right now, not sure why. Amadeus scoffs, asking, really? The two most heroic Hulks aren't up for this? And you're not sure why the heroic ones aren't here? Come on, we both know anger. We both know what it's like to save the world. Bruce stops him. No, I don't know what it's like to save the world, because the world cannot be saved. Not the human world. Not the world as we currently understand it. Earth's climate is changing rapidly. The world the humans built is, well, not sustainable, Amadeus. But there is still a short-term profit to be made, so the same systems are allowed to continue over all our dead bodies if need be. Amadeus tells Bruce that he understands that the math is bad. He isn't denying that, but there's still hope. They still live in a world of heroes. Bruce looks at Amadeus in the eyes, telling him, I don't believe in heroes anymore. Amadeus then asks, so what's the plan? Break everything and hope that things get better? Because we've seen where that goes, World Breaker. Bruce backs off, telling him, no. The Hulk is a blunt instrument. If it's going to be used, it needs to be carefully targeted. Like I was saying, there are people who do what they do to ruin the world for profit. Those entities, they're too big to fail. But very rarely, some justice is done. A fine is levied. Men with personal fortunes in the billions are asked to pay pocket change. Then they buy whoever they have to stop it from happening again. But what if we were to target one of these entities and make them pay, actually pay Amadeus, and make sure that they never stopped paying? Amadeus stands up, stating that he trusts him, but he needs to plan his next move carefully. He is an angry middle-class white guy talking about a revolution. That doesn't always end so well. But back at the end of Bruce Manifest, the one that he broadcast, he explains his demands, so that now we, the viewer and the reader, know them. That there is no meaningful consequences for those who would use their power to engineer and profit from disaster. So we're going to have to create some consequences. In 1 week, they're going to hear about Hulk Rampaging, a targeted Hulk Rampage, against a particular entity, a declaration on war against those who would war on them. So, a short while later, at the Roxxon Plaza in New York, Dario Agger tells his board welcome. They may be wondering why he chose to address them in this manner, in this shape. Why he's now so open when he once practiced discretion. Simply put, he has learned a proper perspective. And the recent war between humanity and the elves, they backed the elves. Treason in any sense of the word. High crimes committed in a public view. But what were the consequences? Petitions, think pieces, lackluster boycotts of their most obvious brands. Nobody important cared. So let the word out. His name is Dario Agger, CEO of Roxxon Energy Corporation, and this is his true form, because nobody will care. It's too difficult to care. This world is a maze of money and power in which the human beings lose themselves. They live their lives in a labyrinth, and he is the Minotaur. The next week, at the meeting of the day, board member Higgins says that their share prices continue to recover. They're back to 2018 levels and climbing. Given the current market uncertainties, they are ready for a downturn, but nothing to report on that yet. Still, he would suggest avoiding risky ventures. Minotaur tells Higgins to stop being a coward. They're not some mom and pop store that closes down in a strong wind. They are the hurricane. Uncertainty is what they want. Business demands uncertainty. There must be winners and losers, the strong and the weak. They are the strongest that there is. He is a 9-foot-tall man-bull who betrayed the earth to elves, and yet here he stands. Don't talk to him about risk. Should they pick their battles? Absolutely, but avoid them? No, there is no avoiding them. When he became CEO, Roxxon was stepping up their renewable energy program, and he took them in the opposite direction. Not that he doesn't believe the science, the question is, what do they have to offer? Weaponry. In the coming resource wars, people will need everything from assault rifles to magical super soldiers. Maybe they'll even sell a politician or two, bought off the rack, or they'll home grow them themselves. But they're kind of people. The masses like to see strength in their leaders. Higgins says that seems like an extreme response. Their current projections aren't quite so dire, are they? They still have time to do something, don't they? The projections, the environmental studies that they release, they say, and Minotaur stomps them, stating that that's the problem. He has been looking at the studies that they've released for public consumption. They'll have to give him clearance for the real ones. Simply put, that 12-year-old deadline in the news, optimistic. Right now, the global situation is relatively stable, but things change. They change fast. Of all the many products that they sell, the most profitable and powerful is narrative. Selectively packaged, expertly targeted, highly potent. Control of what information the public receives and believes is vital to a continued business. But in this room, at this level, there can be no illusions. They cannot succumb to their own. But at that moment, another board member, Travers, says that they have reports of a Hulk attack currently in progress. Minotaur says good. Speaking of narrative, they can show the public of how Roxxon's heroes handle the nation's biggest bad guy. How soon can their berserker units reach the scene? And Travers says that they are already here. The Hulk is attacking them. One of their data centers, the one in Oregon. Minotaur pauses for a moment and then asks, "What did you just say?" "No. How did he know?" As the Minotaur squeezes and crushes Higgins' head, he throws the body aside, telling the board, "I apologize. I found myself in need of a stress ball. I am afraid that we have a serious problem. Earlier, I spoke about creating a narrative, the importance of controlling the public consciousness. As some of you know, Roxxon West is the beating heart of that strategy. It's the server farm that keeps Roxxon running. Roxface, Yambler, the forums. Roxxon's entire social media reach and our window into the soul of mankind. Roxxon West processes trillions of terabytes of data a second, a goldmine of personal data, priceless, but given to us for free. It allows us to tailor information to each user, to create loyalty, to foster apathy, to tell a story in their heads. The berserker units stationed there are Hulk-level troops. If they aren't enough, then Bruce Banner will have achieved something previously thought impossible. He will have hurt the Roxxon Corporation." But back at Shadowbase, Hulk reports that he's finished, and McGowan tells him that Roxface is down. It would seem that Dr. Banner was right. That's how you hurt Roxxon. They should translocate him back. It's almost sunrise, and when sunrise is up, the Hulk is gone. The Hulk pushes aside the rubble, telling her, "Yeah, I figured I'd stick around and watch the sunrise." McGowan asks, "Doesn't the sunlight?" And Hulk tells her, "Yeah, the day ain't my time, but Banner showed me that I could fight that. We can fight that. We work together, McGowan. Together. We are the strongest one that there is. And this is just the start." As days pass, the Hulk's influence among the public begins to grow, causing riots among the younger crowds who want to rebel against the government. And for the Minotaur, he is constantly reminded that without Roxxon's social media presence, other companies like Bane Tech are skyrocketing in popularity. As Minotaur gets out of his limo to head up to his office, he notices graffiti painted along the sign. Hulk Smash. Minotaur sighs, stating that they love him. The Hulk destroys everything that he touches, and the 12 to 18 demographic love him. He's a meme, a figurehead of rebellions. The destructive urge made flesh. And what about them? They're the ones who build. They have shaped society. Now he may be a cynical man. In fact, he prides himself on it. But still, would a little gratitude be too much to ask? As Minotaur sits down, he watches footage from the Hulk stating that they cannot fight him by cracking the shell of a man to release the beast. The Hulk does that move better than anyone else. No, they cannot fight him with rage. Rage is his world. They will have to fight him in theirs. They chose the ground and they set the rules, and they built a box and they put him in it. They will cage him in a structure that he cannot escape. They will package him. That's it. Get me plastics! A short while later, Randolph sets a Hulk mask on the table, stating that it will cost about 9 cents to make and it can be sold for $3. There is a big protest on Sunday, so they're pushing hard for them to be ready by then, through a shell company, of course. Minotaur picks up the mask, examining it, stating that the design of it is old-fashioned. And Randolph says that that's deliberate. The idea is to dampen the enthusiasm with the 12 to 18 demographic. The single-use masks will help that, if they catch on, especially when they leak their involvement. But their goal is monetary gain. Well, they cannot monetize the Hulk. It's a great idea, but in practical terms, it can't be done. Minotaur looks at the mask, stating, "No, but we can package him. If we don't have social media because the Hulk is tearing us down, we'll sell the Hulk. All we have to do is create our own." So later, on Monster Island, Minotaur jumps out of his helicopter onto a barren land and travels to a dark cave. He waits and a voice says, "Earthman, I heard you were thinking of an old enemy, of causing them pain. Tell me in words." Zenu steps out of the cave, and the Minotaur tells him, "I am in need of a Hulk." The next day at Roxxon offices in New York, Travers tells Minotaur that they're ready to go. Once the order is given, they will begin to deploy their assets within the hour. Minotaur tells them, Good. We will wait until nightfall before," but Travers tells them actually they've turned up some interesting information. There was footage from the protest in Wyoming last Sunday. Minotaur grabs Travers by the face, squeezing him, telling him to get to the point, and Travers tells him, "It's the sun! Look at the sun!" Minotaur looks back at the tablet and sees the sun in the background, stating that it's still daytime. Well, at least a setting sun. It was overcast, raining, so there are limits to him being out. Question now is, how do we make use of them? What does this mean for the plan? Later, as the sun begins to set, Travers returns to his office, stating that their window is now open. All potential spoilers are off-planet, or otherwise distracted. The translocation team is standing by, and they're going to make one final prep when the word is sent. They are using local landmarks to triangulate, so it's likely that their enemy is going to as well. Current local time at the target is 16:30, so just over an hour until sundown. Minotaur says that he will either be late or he'll be weak, fighting on two fronts. Consider the word said. At that moment, Roxxon bio-assets are deployed and 4 giant creatures are unleashed across the city. As they terrorize the people back at Shadowbase, McGowan calls out that they have an alert. The giant monsters are attacking Phoenix, Arizona. They need to get out into the fields. Bruce looks back from examining Rick, asking why. There are a dozen special response teams that can handle that. The Avengers, the Fantastic Four, they surely are capable of. And McGowan stops them, stating that they are all off-world right now. She already checked. The champions are on the East Coast with no instant travel tech. The agents of Atlas are even further away, and the X-Men are busy. Everyone is busy. This has been timed to be an attack on the Hulk. Bruce thinks for a moment, and then responds, well, it's a trap. As Hulk appears in Arizona, one of the giant creatures leaps into the air, swallowing him in one bite. Meanwhile, over at the Roxxon offices, Minotaur watches the news, laughing. Ha ha ha! Down the hatch! Talk about a grand entrance. Or is that a grand entree? For the first time, we have the Hulk where we want him. If he can't be killed, then we'll just consume his essence. And once we've eaten the Hulk alive, that's when the real fun will begin. As the Hulk fights off the parasites inside of the monster's stomach, something changes. The green scar begins to fade and the savage Hulk wakes up inside. He begins to shout, "Wet cave, full of bugs! Bugs and slime that burns! Why Hulk wake here? Why Hulk left here with bugs and slime? Why? Why Hulk always hurt?" Over at the Arizona Herald, one of the monsters attacks the building, causing Jackie and her boss Murray to evacuate. Jackie calls out to Murray that he needs to hurry, and Murray tells her to just go on ahead without him, he's slowing her down. Jackie pushes through the panicked crowd, stating that this is not happening, just keep moving. They can make it if they keep to the emergency, but at that moment, the monster breaks through the stairwell, eating several people, with Jackie telling Murray to hurry back. They can get to the other side of the building where no one is, but again, the monster swings its giant arm, destroying the side of the building, focusing one of its heads right between the two of them. However, the eyes of the monster begin to turn bright green, and suddenly the head explodes. And Rick Grimes floats forward, stating, "Hey, I was just in the neighborhood, figured I'd stop by, see how things are going." Jackie asks, "Really? I just watched my coworkers and friends die and you're cracking jokes? Was this you?" Rick tells her, "Maybe, indirectly. Sorry, I put it on an act. I don't always know what's appropriate. Have you seen Bruce anywhere?" Across the city, Betty and Samson are getting ready to take on one of the monsters, but before they can engage, a large spacecraft flies beside with a voice asking, "How are things?" Now, Mr. Creel, surely Leonard here has excellent reasons to leave us unconscious in a wrecked Gamma facility and join up with America's public enemy #1. Puck goes on, stating that it's a good thing that he is an American, though, or he might be annoyed by that. Absorbing Man says that he is annoyed. Do they know how much work he put into being public enemy #1? Samson calls out, "Fine, I'm sorry, but can we do this when people aren't dying? Because I'm going to assume Gamma Flight isn't here to take me in." Puck tells them that it's funny how that works. Every time they get a chance, something bigger comes along to team up against. Unfortunately, the bosses are going to notice. Word of warning, the next Gamma Flight won't be quite so understanding. Samson says, "Right, message received. Can we fight the monsters together, please?" Absorbing Man laughs, stating that they are way ahead of him. Titania is down there already taking care of business, and down below, the monster that Betty and Samson were tasked with begins to spew molten lava when a female voice calls out. The monster calls back, and Titania grabs a rolled-up ball of rubble and hurls it into the air, landing it right in the monster's mouth. With the monster being dealt with, Betty flies Samson over to the fourth monster, and they begin to handle that one. The two manage to bring down the monster relatively easily, but Samson notices something crawling around one of the wounds that Betty made. A parasite from within tries crawling out, and Samson says that each of these things is a hive. If we accidentally break them fully open... Oh no. One of those things ate the Hulk, didn't it? Over at the monster that ate the Hulk, from within its stomach, Hulk's hands rip through, and as Hulk tears open a hole, he yells, "Out! Hulk out from bugs and slime! Out into air! Who did this? Hulk will know!" But as Hulk jumps out of the monster, the opening that he created sets loose the parasites onto the city. The parasites quickly begin to attack the people, and as the Hulk pulls them apart one at a time, he yells, "Stupid bugs! Tell Hulk who did this!" But while that is going on, Minotaur watches the news and reports, stating, I can't describe what I'm seeing, but the Hulk is at the center of it. He unleashed all of these monsters, all of these little bugs upon us, one way or another. The Hulk caused this problem." Minotaur laughs, "Ha ha ha, perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself." The reporter goes on stating, "Whether accidentally or... Oh god, they're coming this way!" The cameraman shouts that they need to run, but suddenly the monster stops and a bright light begins to shine. The reporter tells everyone that is watching, "You are all witnessing a miracle. There is something in the sky, a large figure. Who is that?" The Hulk looks up, stating, "White thing." And the voice comes down, stating, "Hello, hello, hello." Zenu floats down, containing all of the parasites, stating, "Hello, boys and girls, I have come to save you. You all know me, don't you? I am Zenu, from the Magic Planet. Remember before the job and the family that you all hate? Before everything got so hard for you? Remember Saturday morning television? The smell of a new plastic toy? Remember being happy? Then you remember me." Zenu looks down at the Hulk, asking, "And what about you? Do you remember? I was the Hulk before you." Hulk shouts, "Hulk is Hulk! You are White Thing!" "Hulk know you. You hurt Hulk. Hulk smashed you, and you came back. Always come back. Always and always. Always try to hurt Hulk more. So this time Hulk hurt you. Hurt you first." As Hulk jumps into the air, he grabs Zenu by the throat, and Zenu says, "Oh my." With that, the news reporter tells everyone that it seems that Banner is attacking the alien hero. It's hard to say why exactly, unless the alien is perhaps foiling some scheme of Banner's. Minotaur sits back sipping his champagne. Perfect. Isn't he perfect? Such a consummate showman. As Hulk continues to strangle Zenu, Zenu hardly fights back, telling him, "He's got me, boys and girls. Remember how soda used to taste? He's hurting me very badly. I'm losing my concentration. Oh me, oh my." Suddenly, the parasites that were held captive break free and they begin to attack, starting with the news helicopter flying nearby. Betty quickly flies in, ripping the parasites out, telling the pilot to land or die. Back on the rooftop, Hulk punches into Zenu, shouting, "Shut up! Shut up, white thing!" Zenu asks, "Ewoks and bubblegum, 7th grade crushes and long summer evenings. Wasn't everything so much better before?" Hulk then tears into one of Zenu's mechanical arms, yelling, "Shut up! Hulk does not care! Hulk doesn't care about what was! Hulk is Hulk!" Zenu looks back at the camera crew, stating, oh dear, he's going to kill me. Remember your first love." Just then, the Absorbing Man flies in after taking the form of the Gamma Flight jet, blasting Hulk off, stating, "Holy crap! Zenu from the Magic Planet? I watched you when I was a kid, right?" Hulk gets back up, shouting, "Stupid metal man! White thing lies! White thing always lies! White thing is a lie! Why do puny humans never listen?" But before he could finish that sentence, the Hulk vanishes, reappearing in Shadowbase, with McGee telling him, "All right, that's enough. You've done enough damage." Hulk turns back. "Stupid science woman! Science woman took Hulk away with Big Machine, back to stupid Metal House. Why? Hulk would have smashed them." McGowan asks if he means that he would have smashed the hero who just saved Phoenix on live TV. "Do you want people to turn against you?" Hulk scoffs. "Bah! Puny humans always turn on Hulk. White thing more important. White thing must be smashed or McGowan asks, "Or what, save more lives? All I saw was White Thing cleaning up your mess." Hulk screams, "No! White Thing was doing something!" Hulk felt it. Hulk now know what it was. Hulk now like it. McGowan sighs, telling him to stop. What he is saying isn't making sense. She needs to talk to one of the other voices in his head. Can Savage Hulk go back? Hulk groans, rubbing his head. "That was weird. Savage Hulk has never kept me out before. When we got hurt, he took over like it was nothing before the sun sets. He's stronger. That's a wrinkle." McGowan goes on stating that she needs to get the rest of them back. If the media gets a hold of them, they'll eat them alive, especially Samson. They can start with him. He knows all of them. He can probably get to the bottom of this, but the Hulk stops her, stating that that is the first lie that she's ever told him. Samson couldn't get to the bottom of a bag of chips, and she knows it. McGowan says that that's not really fair, but the Hulk stops her again, stating, "That's lie number 2. Keep digging, McGowan. Someone needs to look into this, though. Someone competent. We both know how the big guy talks. Baby talk. He's just a kid. But this was even weird for him, right?" McGowan says that she just couldn't understand what he meant. He kept saying this word. Hulk tells her, "Yeah, over and over again. Hulk, Hulk." But then the Hulk stops and thinks for a moment. And after some time passes, he asks, "What the hell is a Hulk?" McGowan stares into Hulk's eyes, trying to understand him, as she knows what she's looking at. But does she really? When suddenly she remembers exactly who the Hulk is. Zenu. Soon the world begins to remember Zenu. He was there for everything. He was the one who assembled the Avengers. He was known as the Living Hulk. He was the Earth's mightiest hero. He was an X-Man, and he was everything. Every news piece on Zenu has everyone praising him and talking about how Zenu was always there for them. Minotaur of Roxxon sits back in his chair in his office, stating that this is rather interesting. He wasn't expecting Zenu to be so powerful. Zenu tells him, "Yes, my powers are only going to grow stronger, but the strongest in a context, through a screen, through a culture, television. Television in your home, television on your phone, television by your bed, television in your head. Don't you remember?" He goes on stating that while he hid and licked his wounds, he began to appear harmless, and this became his planet, Zenu's magic planet. Minotaur laughs, telling him, You're Planet Hulk, of course. Although it didn't work on me. I am Dario Agger. I of all people know how the sausage is made. I mention that in case your eyes are getting bigger than your stomach, Zenu. Zenu tells him that their deal is acceptable. Once he is done with this world, when it is a dying shell, it will be his home. He will convert those humans who survive to be as he is. But in order to do that, he must repair his physical form. Sustenance is required. I am very hungry. Minotaur says, of course. Travers, get Zenu a meal. Travers tells him that he can get him something, but it will take some time. With all of the disappearances, give him an hour. He'll find someone who won't be missed. Minotaur tells Zenu that that is an acceptable time, but Zenu then says, but he is hungry now. Minotaur pours himself another drink, telling Travers that he's sorry. As the mechanical parts inside begin to unfold into small arms and clamps, Travers begins to yell, wait, you can't, wait, please! The arms lunge out, grabbing Travers, and as it pulls him into the gaping maw of the machine attached to Zenu, Minotaur tells him, yes, it's unfortunate, but the thing is, people like you are always replaceable, Travers. And right now, I only have access to one Hulk. Supply and demand, my friend! Supply and demand! Meanwhile, back at Shadowbase, Bruce Banner stares at himself in the mirror, stating that nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong! Rick knocks on the door, asking if everything is okay. They were seeing some weird stuff about him on the TV. Bruce struggles to keep the Hulk inside, telling him, yeah, I'm fine, nothing's wrong. The mirror, it's holding. The Hulk isn't coming out. Rick tells him, okay. So what are you doing in here, Bruce? Bruce wipes the sweat from his brow, telling him, I'm planning my next move. We've been concentrating far too hard on Roxxon. Our strategic strikes, protests, non-lethal attacks, responding to distress calls. Rick says that it really doesn't sound like the Bruce that he knows. Things won't make the necessary impact. They're going to need to strike harder. Hit the humans where it hurts. Hit some soft targets. Make the puny humans afraid again. Rick tells him, you don't really sound like the Bruce Banner that I know. And Bruce asks, why are you calling me that? My name is Robert Banner. Who do you think you're talking to? Meanwhile, in another part of the base, McGowan stops by Samson's room asking if they can talk for a moment. There's some video footage that she was going over, and there is a weird, strange bit that she heard. She isolated one sentence in particular. So with no context, just listen to it and say the name that he hears. McGowan begins to play the video, and it's a recording of her talking, and then saying, then Daredevil happened and I went to... Samson listens and says, I would say that you said Daredevil. McGowan tells him, okay, I was worried that I might have been hallucinating. This might be worse. Samson asks if there's a problem, should he have heard something else, and McGowan tells him no, she heard Daredevil as well. She just doesn't remember saying that. She doesn't remember Daredevil. She remembers Zenu. Samson asks, Zenu? Like from the TV show, Magic Planet? McGowan asks, did he ever watch that show? And Samson tells her that he did. Maybe? McGowan asks if he ever studied the Mandela effect. And Samson says, of course he did. It's a term for false memories that find their way into a public consciousness. Similarly, that movie about the genie never existed, neither did Jiffy, Peanut Butter, Mirror Mirror on the Wall, and so on. McGowan says, right. The Magic Planet, a show that everyone remembers, but nobody watched. It never existed. It's in all of their heads. Samson sits back down, stating that there could be something rewriting their memories, and that would be horrific. If there was proof like that footage. McGowan tells him that they can't rely on that alone, though. She may have caught that, but what if somebody's more susceptible? What if somebody was specifically targeted? If Zenu's been rewriting everybody includes Dr. Banner. Just then, the sound of breaking glass can be heard, and the two jump up and run towards the source of that noise. As they enter the restrooms, McGowan asks what happened, and Rick says that they can take a look for themselves. He and Bruce were mid-sentence, and he just turned to the mirror, and well, Banner smash. Banner looks at his bleeding hands and says, oh, you guys shouldn't make a fuss. The simple-minded brute is becoming a distraction, and distractions are going to be removed. You know how it is. You understand it's rational. I'd hate for you not to be rational about this, team. But inside of Bruce's mind, the Hulk punches back at the mirror, shouting, "Stupid, stupid Banner! White thing is in stupid Banner's head, and everyone's head! Everyone but Hulk, because Hulk is Hulk!" Hulk continues punching away, and then a voice tells him that Zenu's rewritten him. It's not something you can punch, it's stronger than you are. Hulk looks back to see yet another Hulk walking towards him, another one in the mental mindscape of Bruce Banner. And Hulk asks, "Who?" The Hulk walking forward tells him, "Well, Zenu's stronger than you are. It's not stronger than we are. After all, I'm the strongest one that there is." And as Planet Hulk stops in front of him, he towers over the Savage Hulk asking, "Don't you remember?" Back outside of Bruce Banner's mind, he tells everyone that his name is Robert, and that is his name, and it has always been his name. The name of the man who ends the world. He knows he shouldn't want that, or he should want it in a metaphorical sense, wanting and not doing. But has he been limiting himself all of these years, limiting his true potential? What would happen if Robert Banner just let go? McGowan tells him that he needs to listen. He's been infected by something. They all have. Something has been altering their memories. Some alien presence is creating a societal group memory as a form of camouflage. It disguises itself as something that we'll all accept, something that we'll all trust, like a TV show from our childhood, a superhero. It has to be a Roxxon attack. It's possible that it may have made a deal with them. Bruce asks if they're saying that his memories aren't real. Because I have such a clear memory, McGowan, of the sound of my father's skull when it broke on my mother's tombstone when I killed him. And it was no accident, McGowan. Was I not acting like my true self in that moment? Because sometimes it gets dark in here. Dark and strange. Back inside of Bruce's mind, Savage Hulk and Planet Hulk walk into the distorted and strange world. And Savage Hulk tells him, "Hulk, remember this place. A place like this place, but strange now. Cogs and gear and junk. Face looking back at Hulk. What is this place?" Planet Hulk asks him, "Do you not remember? You used to spend a lot of time here, back in Banner's inner world, his mindscape, and it's been going downhill ever since, Savage. I've been trying to help Banner from the inside. I've been trying to help him heal." But then Hulk begins to sniff the air, and Planet Hulk asks him, "What is it?" And Hulk says, "Hulk, not sure. Odd smell." Planet Hulk climbs onto the top of a hill, telling him, "It must be all the trash here. Oh look, here's some of it now." Planet Hulk points down at a chained Hulk, stating, "There's a snake in our grass, the big bad Devil Hulk who wanted to break the world. There's one good thing that came out of this. No more of this scaly creep running around. He's locked up tight again, and he's never getting out." Planet Hulk kicks the Devil Hulk, and Savage Hulk tells him to stop. "What's wrong? Why would we stop, Savage? He's been trouble since the start, ordering us around, telling us when he can come out, acting like he's our dad. Remember Brian Banner?" Hulk then spits in his hand and says, "Hulk is Hulk, and Hulk is Hulk too, and Hulk is kind of Hulk. Hulks are Hulks." As Savage Hulk begins to pull at the giant chain, Planet Hulk tells him to stop that. But Savage Hulk continues to pull, telling him, "Chain is strong, but Hulk is stronger, and Hulk must be." Soon the strength fades as the chain falls back down, and Planet Hulk asks, "Are you done yet? You aren't the strongest here. Trust me on that. Besides, I'm going to need all of your strength for what's in store next. Look over there." Hulk sees toys scattered around at a young boy watching TV. And Hulk says, "Hulk never had toys." But back as the child is laughing and eating, he shouts, "Yay!" as Zenu appears on the TV, and Hulk says, "White thing inside Hulk's mind. What does White thing want with boy? Who is boy?" Planet Hulk tells him, "That's you, or us. The kid is Banner. This is the childhood Banner always wanted, but we're the childhood he got." Hulk climbs up onto a platform stating, "Hulk always hurts. Hulk always hurts. Always and always and always." He charges and punches through the TV with Planet Hulk telling him, "Good boy." As Hulk pulls his arm back, he leans down asking, "What was inside TV? It goes on forever." But Hulk see light. What is Hulk seeing? Planet Hulk tells him that is his way out. "Go get him, Savage." Hulk leans further in, shouting, "Yes, Hulk sees the way. Hulk will go get White Thing! Hulk crawls through the TV out into the real world, and Bruce falls over with Samson yelling that he's choking. McGowan runs over, but suddenly she stomps and Samson lets go. 2 green fingers begin to stretch out of Bruce Banner's mouth until finally the Hulk's arm thrusts through. Seconds later, the Hulk bursts through, ripping Bruce's body apart, shouting, "Hulk is free!" Everyone stares and Hulk tells them, "Listen to Hulk, green hair, and you science woman. White Thing made humans think that he is Hulk. Hulk is not Hulk. And when Hulk say Hulk, humans think Hulk say nonsense words. But Hulk is Hulk. Hulk is always Hulk. Hulk is chained inside. All that is Hulk. Hulk's system has been hurt. And hurt, stupid Banner. Other Hulks, they boss Hulk. Tell Hulk when to come, when to go, and talk and talk and talk. But Hulk only Hulk left. And it's Hulk's time now. And Hulk not talk. Roxxon send big monsters, big show for White Thing. So White Thing with Roxxon. Now Hulk go where Roxxon live. And Hulk finish White Thing. Who with Hulk? Within seconds, Hulk and the others storm Roxxon Plaza. And Samson asks if this is really the best course for them. They need a plan to deal with Roxxon carefully and methodically. Hulk says, "Too careful, too much talk, too much waiting. Give Bullman time to hurt everyone, stupid Banner." As everyone enters the building, they see the twisted and deformed humans, all with mechanical attachments like Zenu. Samson asks, what are these things? And Rick tells him that Hulk is right. See the metal parts? How they don't have mouths? They came from Zenu, and that tells you what they were. Meanwhile, up in the penthouse, the Minotaur is shouting, asking what is going on. What is all of this chaos? First, the Hulk comes here, the same Hulk that's supposed to be under control. And what are they fighting? What are those things? Is that Travers? All those people you ate? Zenu says, "I converted them, since I've internalized the conversion process to nourish me, and I'm very hungry." Minotaur grabs his phone, stating that this is a PR disaster. Security! Close the shutters, lock down the building. If anybody sees security, Minotaur looks at the image on the phone, and as the security guard that Zenu converted stares back, it changes to Zenu's face telling him, "I am very hungry." As Minotaur turns back, Zenu's mechanical arms reach out, grabbing Minotaur, and Minotaur begins to yell, "No! God no! We had a deal!" Zenu pulls Minotaur into the maw of the machine's mouth, stating, "Our deal was satisfactory, but it is not satisfactory enough. Business demands winners and losers, and the strong and the weak." But back downstairs, Hulk finishes tearing the converted creatures apart, making his way towards the elevator. He rips the elevator out, shouting, "Stupid gold boxes in Hulk's way! Hulk go up now! Smash Bullman! White Thing too! Hulk's friends come!" As they all reach the penthouse, Hulk finds Minotaur as a half-converted mess on the ground. He begins to ask what, but Zenu appears, stating, "Hello! Shouldn't you be subduing this planet for me?" Zenu reaches out, grabbing him by the head, telling him, "Your mind is organized differently than the other human minds. No less powerful, though. So no more so either, only different. I know that you are all weak. The mistake was treating you like a monster. You're not a monster. You're a child, Hulk." Behind them, Rick channels his gamma energy, stating, "That is enough. This is gonna be your only warning. This is a big mistake. You have no idea." And Zenu asks, "What I'm doing? Feeding Hulk gamma? It doesn't matter. I'm already in the Hulk's mind." Rick tells him that you might think you've got some of the gamma energy, but you've only got some of it. What was available? Take a look deeper. Look who's coming to meet you. Inside Hulk's mind, Planet Hulk asks, "Welcome to the magic planet, huh?" Wrong. "Welcome to my planet! Welcome to Planet Hulk!" As Planet Hulk takes over, he punches into Zenu, destroying him and the mechanical parts. A few moments later, Hulk looks around asking, "What happened? Everything went dark, Hulk went away, and then... Rick tells him he's okay. He beat the bad guy just like he always does. Why doesn't he head back down? The others need some help mopping things up. Hulk turns, leaving, stating, Hulk will do as Rick says. Rick is friend. Rick, good friend." And Rick laughs to himself, stating, "If you only knew." At that moment, Rick floats down to Minotaur, asking, "What should I do with this?" The crass little billionaire who thought that the four winds would forever bow to him. So he summoned them, and in they have blown. but you couldn't control Zenu. So you most certainly couldn't control him, could you? That said, you could still be useful, even as wretched as you are. So you'll be allowed to live if you call that living. But you will leave Banner to me from now on. You need to understand your place in the scheme of things, because in this world, there are those who follow, and those who lead. Deep within his inner mindscape, the mental space where all of his alter egos are when they aren't controlling the body, Bruce pulls on a chain to try and free the Devil Hulk. With one last tug, he releases the chain, wondering how he can free him. The Devil Hulk was in prison before, and he got out. So why is he chained up now? Just then Bruce Banner hears, "Stupid Banner!" And Banner says, "Just Banner is fine, big guy." Savage Hulk walks up telling him, "Hulk is Hulk! Hulk knowing Hulk is Hulk saved all Hulks, even puny Banner!" As Savage Hulk pokes Bruce, Bruce says, "I get it. Hulk is Hulk. Can we maybe try and break these chains now?" Savage Hulk scoffs. "Hulk try, Hulk fail. Hulk thought White Thing put it there, but it's still there. Did Banner put it there?" Banner asks him, "Really? If I could just make things, I'd make a beanbag chair or something. Not this." Savage Hulk yells, "Bah! Of course Banner built prison for Hulk. Banner is prison for Hulk. Banner would rather die than let Hulk live." Bruce begins to respond, but then he stops, telling him that he's right. But now they need to do something. Every time that Banner gets depressed, every time that it sets in, the self-loathing, the desire to end things, that's when the Devil Hulk was freed. And funny enough, when in full control, all the Devil Hulk wanted to do was end things in a bad way. But without the Devil Hulk, they need to do better. They need to do things differently. Savage Hulk grumbles, thinking, and then says, "Okay," and he grabs the chains. "This time different." Out in the real world, Joe Chill yells, "Ah! It's like they're working on the chain gang in there." Samson says, "Can you describe the pain? Is it like a switching headache or something else?" And Joe tells him that he's got no clue what it is. Zenu trapped him in Banner's head. Zenu then gets whacked, and here's Joe Chill again. So far, so simple. Where is the Big Daddy Devil Hulk? Why is he still in the stir? The only Hulk-type Hulk who gets in front now is Salad Brain, which, by the way, doesn't really fill anyone with confidence. Samson says that may be so, but the Savage Hulk is the most popular Hulk right now, by quite a margin. And Joe scoffs, yeah, everyone loves the big dumb ape. What's new? But no Devil Hulk means that I'm the smart one now. There's a piece that I ain't seeing yet. Hey, look who it ain't. Betty walks up, maintaining her harpy form, and Joe asks, "How's it going? You're looking great, Betty." Betty tells him, "Not good. Talk to Bruce, please." Joe sighs, taking off his glasses, telling her, "Fine, just give me a sec." A moment later, Bruce takes control of his body, and Betty says that she's leaving Shadow Base. There's no space down here. It's like living in a cage. Bruce asks, "Haven't we discussed this before? Out there is... You know what, if you're gonna say this, can you at least be Betty?" Betty tells him that she is Betty. This is her. Bruce turns in frustration, telling Samson to move, but Samson stops him, telling him that he needs to talk to his wife. Bruce shouts, asking, "Do you think I don't want to? I'd like nothing more, but I can't talk to her when she's this creature." Just then, Betty slams Bruce down with her talons, yelling, "This is me!" Bruce looks back, telling her that no, it's not. That is an expression of your anger, the worst, most evil part of you. It's a monster. And I want to see the woman that I love. Betty stares for a moment, telling him, No, he doesn't. She's leaving now. She can't live in his cage. And she does just that, with Bruce sighing, stating that that's the end of it, huh? Later, out in Georgeville, Iowa, the Savage Hulk tries to make a scene with society after freeing everyone from Zenu's control by helping repair the damage that he's caused. In the crowd, Jackie says that this is so surreal. A puff piece on the Hulk. The cameraman tells her, yeah, but it's paying the bills, even if it's our funeral bills. The reporter asks the mayor how would they let the Hulk back after his attacks on the town a few months ago. The mayor says that he's just glad that they asked. Bruce Banner wasn't attacking anyone that night. He was hitchhiking. Had he been left alone, they'd never known that he was here. However, the Avengers instead chose to The Savage Hulk yells, "Yes, stupid Avengers always hate Hulk. Always hound Hulk. Avengers say they friends. Say Hulk is friend." As Hulk's anger grows, he ends up snapping a support beam ready to go into a house. Everyone stares and the mayor says, "Hey now, you don't want to scare anyone, right?" And Hulk tells him, "No, Hulk not scare friends. Maybe Hulk build half a house." As everyone laughs, Rick places his hand on the Hulk, telling him that he's going to be fine. But that touch, it does something. If you remember earlier, I told you that the leader was in charge of Rick's body right now. And Rick turns to the crowd stating that they should just move along to the photo shoot now. Get your camera ready, folks. Savage Hulk begins to feel something building inside of him, something wrong. And as the radiation starts to force its way out, the Savage Hulk yells, "Help, Hulk! Help before!" And at that moment, the Savage Hulk's body explodes. Everyone covers their eyes, but as Jackie opens hers, she asks, "Rick?" A giant, deformed Rick tells her, "Hey, can't feel my hands anymore. Did I protect everyone?" Savage Hulk yells, "Hulk! Hulk not mean it! Hulk sorry! Hulk sorry!" Over at the base, Samson and Charlene watch the news, and Samson says that they need to get the Hulk back now. Charlene frantically types away at the terminal, stating that she can't. The ground radiation is too high. She can't get a lock on him. Back at the blast site, Jackie begins to run to Savage Hulk as he yells, "No! No, go closer! Hulk hurt you too! Hulk hurt everyone! Hulk hurt always, always, and always!" And a voice says, "Yeah." And then Savage Hulk is struck by a giant wrecking ball. As Creel pulls back the ball and chain, Puck and Titania land, and Puck points a giant cannon at Savage Hulk, telling him, "Sorry, but this one ain't gonna be a team-up. Gamma Flight, form on me! Titania, Creel, get ready to move! Let's make this as painless as possible, huh?" Savage Hulk asks, "Little man?" And Puck responds by firing the cannon, knocking the Hulk to the ground. Savage Hulk gets up yelling, "Hulk not want this! Hulk not want fight!" Jackie yells for them to stop. The Hulk is giving up. But Titania jumps, landing feet first into Savage Hulk as Creel tells her, Yeah, you breaking my heart." But as Jackie runs forward to the fight, Rick sits back and, well, he watches. Puck then tells Jackie that they need to take the Hulk into custody before anyone else can get hurt. If he leaves, he can explode somewhere else, and they can't take that kind of a chance. Jackie yells, asking, "So roll up and unload on him?" While he's crying in the street, Titania flies over, pushing Jackie back, yelling, "No, Press, move along!" But Jackie pushes back, telling her to get her hand off. And in the background, Rick watches and smiles, stating that he could stir the pot a bit. "You can see this, right, Hulk?" As Titania pushes Jackie to the ground, Savage Hulk sees through Rick's eyes that Jackie is getting knocked to the ground. Savage Hulk sees her getting hurt and reaches around Creel, who's been holding him in place, ripping his arm off in a fit of rage. Jackie yells for him to stop, that she's all right, but Savage Hulk pounds into Creel, shouting, "Hurt Hulk's friend! You hurt Hulk's friend! Hulk hurt you back! All of you!" Titania then turns on the booster in her jetpack, rocketing into the Hulk, asking, "If you want to hurt someone, you should try hurting me." The two crash into a crane, and over at Shadow Base, Charlene says that she still can't get a lock. The frequency keeps changing. There's a thumb drive in her office with a bunch of translocation data on it. And Samson tells her that he's got it, back in 5. Meanwhile, back at the blast site, Savage Hulk fights back, knocking Titania, shouting, "Hulk, is that enough? Enough hurt! Hulk, end it now!" But as Titania is pushed back, Creel tells himself that he needs to think. He's the absorbing man, no rules. What can he be? Rubble, dust, and wind. And gamma, yeah, that's it. He can become a giant gamma hurricane. Meanwhile, Rick just watches. "Oh, Carl, what a wonderful idea. I wouldn't have thought of a better one." Back at Shadow Base, Samson heads into the lab looking for Charlene's thumb drive when he stops to look at Del Fry, the first live subject that they've been trying to cure. Samson asks if there's anything that they can do to help, like what happened with Rick. One of the scientists tells him that this guy isn't Rick. He's really messed up. Samson shakes out the feeling of helplessness and says that he needs to get that drive back to Charlene. They'll help Del Fry later. But as the first scientist help him find it, the second begins to make gurgling noises. Samson and the first scientist look back and a voice says, "Hello, Leonard, a long time no see." The second scientist's body begins to slowly turn into green goop as Del Fry burns a hole through his test tube and through the second scientist. However, long ago, Delphi thinks back to what happened to him, how it all started. His father injected him, but he saw something, a door, a green door, and someone walking through it. Delphi tried to explain, but his father couldn't understand, and at that moment, the scene happens again, but this time a bit more clearer. Delphi's father didn't see it, but there was a door, and there was someone walking through it, and that man, well, he was the leader. The leader tells him, look, this loop is going to continue to keep happening unless someone takes control. But don't worry, this won't hurt any more than usual. Just hold still and let me take the lead. Through Delphi's body, the leader steps out of the test tube, and Samson yells to the scientist to get back while he keeps this thing busy. And the leader asks, Thing? Is that what you called an old friend? But look at you! Back to playing the scholar, always blathering about your existential crisis or the latest theory. Remember back when you were a man of action, a man's man, a he-man? Remember what you were turned into? The leader jumps from the tube onto Samson's shoulders, digging his thumbs into Samson's eye sockets, telling him, it's time to have a chat backstage behind the curtain. Death is just a door, knock and enter. Moments later, in the place below all, leader steps out in the skin of Del, stating, there we are, that wasn't so bad, now was it? Samson gets up stating that he's been here before, hasn't he? And the leader laughs, telling him, haha, you have! Not usually for long because of that fast resurrection. That's why I didn't get into your head this time, to make you a better test subject. There's so much to learn even here, so much to know. And behold, the green door opens, ready to receive you, bring you back to life, Dr. Samson. Now, I could very well walk through that door myself and take your place, just as I did with Rick Jones and poor Delphi. And well, we'll get to the third one in a moment, the one that's going to be very exciting, the one that I'm looking forward to taking control of. But for now, let's try something different. As the green door appears before the leader, Samson yells for him to stop. These forces, they aren't a thing that's meant to be controlled. You can't control the one below all or the green door. Soon everything turns red and the leader says, that's why it's so much fun. But here, take a look. The red door. Red for danger, red for stop. But from this side at the very least. No magic return like now. Not for you, Leonard. Samson looks at the red door stating that that's what he wants, isn't it? And the leader laughs, telling him, ha ha ha, you're a smart one. And no, nobody wants you. We have our eyes on a much bigger game. Back in Georgeville, Creel punches Savage Hulk with his massive fist, yelling, you blew up a town, Hulk! You gotta be stopped! You sow the wind, you get the hurricane! Savage Hulk is blown away, but he catches himself yelling, stupid bald man! This what you do with power of Hulk? You make puny little breeze? Watch, bald man, Hulk show you how it done! Savage Hulk claps his hands together, causing enough wind to tear Creel apart, knocking everyone back, and as he watches, the leader, through Rick, begins to laugh. Titania turns to him asking, what is he laughing for? But as she gets closer, the leader punches her away. Creel reforms, seeing Titania getting hit, and he yells that he is done taking it easy. When he is done with the Hulk, he's gonna move on to that creepy friend. Charlene calls out that the radiation is fixed, that she can begin teleporting now, but only one at a time. Who comes back first? Rick first, right? The Hulk's immortal. He can survive another minute. But while Rick disappears, Puck takes his shot, blasting a hole through the Savage Hulk's head. And inside of that mindscape, in the dead body of the Hulk, before he comes back to life, the leader takes this moment to acquire his third host. The one he's been waiting for, the Green Scar, the World Breaker Hulk enters the battlefield. Over in the Mindscape, the Devil Hulk sits in his chains, locked up. He can feel it though. They're in trouble. They need him. But this is somebody else's doing, not Zenu's. Somebody used their fight with Zenu to get past the mental defenses that Bruce Banner had up. And now, whoever it is, they're just out of reach, hurting Banner, hurting the big guy. Back when Bruce was hurt, he offered to kill his dad, because a good dad wouldn't hurt him. All he had to do was let him out. Let out the Devil Hulk. Let him kill. But even back then, Bruce didn't want his father to be killed. But back in the Mindscape, the leader is laughing as he pulls the Savage Hulk in chains, telling him, that was quite a laser you took to the brain. Savage Hulk speaks again. Hulk, what? Daddy? Leader asks, "You want your daddy? Well, daddy is right here!" And he punches Savage Hulk in the head. The leader chuckles to himself, stating, "I really hope that Samson is taking notes." As the leader gets over the hill, just below him sits a chained up Bruce Banner and Joe Chill. Joe sees the Savage Hulk being dragged in. "Oh, great! He got the salad brain. Banner, whatever you're doing to make me puny in here, you gotta stop doing right now." Banner tells him that it isn't him. Whatever is going on isn't Bruce Banner's doing. And Joe tells him, "Are you sure? Because the other option ain't looking so good." Bruce begins to ask what he's talking about, and when he shifts to look over, he sees the leader. "Oh, I see a familiar forehead." Leader leans down, telling him, "That's right. I'm the strongest one that there is." Joe asks, "What's the skinny anyway? If you're so powerful, couldn't you have done this to us years ago?" The leader laughs. No. That neuro-atypical mind is really hard to get into. That's why I had to use the back door. I had to use your green door from hell, Banner. But now controlling 3 of the personalities, the leader begins to attack with each, using Rick and Dell to corner Charlene. The leader tells Charlene that she can survive this, and they could accomplish great things together. Charlene tells him that she won't. He can go to hell. And he laughs. "Oh, I'm already here. We need to get to Samson so that I can see." Just then, in the below place, in the hell, Samson takes a part of the debris, cracking the leader in the head, throwing him off his concentration between all of the bodies he's trying to control. In the shadows, Rick begins to shout for Samson, and then using the evacuation protocols, Charlene locks Dell out and begins the translocation process, severing Rick's head from his body. Leader screams through all of his bodies, feeling that pain, and Joe laughs. "Ha ha ha, not that easy, is it?" The leader wipes the blood from Green Scar's nose, telling him that he was just sliced at the molecular level. He is not in the mood! Leader then picks up Bruce Banner, and he begins to head to the green door. But before they do, Bruce kicks and flails, shouting for someone to help. That's when a voice calls out, "I hear you, kid. I love you," followed by a loud boom. The leader asks what was that, and Joe tells him, "For a genius, you sure are an idiot." The voice calls out again, "I will always be here for you." The leader yells, "No, it's not possible. I'm the strongest one here. You're supposed to be sealed and buried away." Devil Hulk tells him, "Yeah, buried and left to rot. But you made a mistake. Being buried can only get you so mad. But when you hurt the big guy, you hurt Banner. And when you hurt Banner, I take that personal." The leader inches away, stating, "Stay back!" But as the Devil Hulk slams his giant arms into the ground, Joe laughs, yelling, "Ha! Beg some more! I love it!" Bruce flips it back from the hit, stating that he has never seen the Devil Hulk this angry since he was a child. Joe shouts, asking, "Ain't it great? Come on, Snake Eyes! Take him out, kill him!" The Savage Hulk looks back, telling him, "Don't." And Green Scar begins to get up, stating, "It's okay. Leader isn't controlling us anymore." Devil Hulk reaches in, telling him, "I can smell a lie, remember? I know it's you. Even if he didn't, he wouldn't care." Leader backs up. "Do you want the truth?" And he changes into Brian Banner, Bruce Banner's father. "This is the truth! I am your father! Your father, boy!" Devil Hulk steps forward. "No, you're not him!" The leader goes on shouting, "I saw it when Betty left!" Bruce tried to stop her by hurting her. Bruce gets up, lunging at the leader, yelling, "It's not true! I'll never be like you! I'll kill you first!" Savage Hulk begins to stand, telling him, "Don't!" But the leader shouts, "Do it! Do it!" As Savage Hulk hesitates, the leader's body begins to change. Limbs begin to grow long and twisted, and the leader laughs, telling him, "You almost had me, Bruce. I admit it. Your private devil almost had me scared, but you killed your father once. And look at the hold I have on you." As the leader grabs a hold of Bruce, Devil Hulk charges in, telling him, "We'll kill you again if we need to, leader." Leader looks back, asking, "Really? You should listen to yourself. You can't kill me, not when you're on that leash." Joe yells out to Devil Hulk to look out, and when Devil Hulk looks back, Savage Hulk latches on. "Hulk, not want that! Never wanted that! Not Daddy dead! Just to love Hulk! Please just love Hulk!" Devil Hulk pauses for a moment. "Oh, kid, No. And as the leader's body continues to mutate, he moves forward, stating that the boy has made his choice. Your love burned like the fires of hell, so strong, so fierce, that it terrified him. He knew that you would do anything to protect him. He had your love, unconditionally and forever. But we want what we can't have, and you are never his father. Devil Hulk begins to tell him that this isn't over. But before he can finish, the leader swings his giant bug-like claw, tearing off Devil Hulk's head. A second claw reaches down into the Devil Hulk's chest, pulling out his heart, and the leader says, "I'm sorry, Devil Hulk, but it is done." The leader crushes the beating heart, and the Devil Hulk falls to the ground with the Savage Hulk yelling, "Hulk not want this! Not want anyone to die!" Leader tells him, "Yes, you want it, and you paid for what you wanted, so don't worry. Here is your reward." The leader pats Savage Hulk on the head, telling him, "I love you, you stupid, stupid child." As the leader grabs onto Devil Hulk's lifeless body, he drags him into the green door, and Bruce shouts back to Joe, telling him not to let the leader. But soon, the three disappear. Joe jumps to his feet, shouting, "What the hell is wrong with you? What were you thinking?" And Savage Hulk tells him, "It happened too fast. Hulk only wanted to stop fights, not want this." But outside of Bruce's mindscape, Savage Hulk mutters those words as he sits chained into a machine. Puck says none of them do. And now they have to do the things that they don't want to do. A short while later, Bruce begins to call out to Joe, asking if he's there. He needs help. He can't see. Something is eating him. Maybe it killed the Hulk. And as Bruce hangs suspended in a coil of veins connecting both him and the Devil Hulk, the leader sits, watching. As Puck stirs his coffee in the recreational room aboard the Alpha Flight space station, he says, "Well, the Hulk woke up." But he seems different, diminished. Like the battle took something vital out of him. And of course, he's reacting like a child, because that's what he is. He doesn't even understand that he blew up a town. Jackie says that she isn't fully convinced that the Hulk blew up Georgeville. When Rick Jones attacked Titania and her, he was smiling, talking to himself, body like a pretzel, and he was giving this smug little speech. They've all seen the news footage. Hulk gets mad for a second, a scary second. Then it passes and along comes Rick. But then a voice tells her not quite. It wasn't Rick, it was the leader. A genius gamma mutant with the power to control minds and inhabit bodies. And he suspects that that is somehow connected to, well, the whole situation. Puck looks over. "Walter? Dear God, is that you?" The Sasquatch steps in, telling him, "Again, not quite. It's Leonard in here. Leonard Samson. But perhaps you can call me Doc Sasquatch." Over in the holding facility, Hulk hangs suspended in restraints as a man with sunglasses walks up, stating that he wonders if they remember him. Maybe. His name is Henry Peter Gyrich, acting commander of the Alpha Flight Interstellar Defense and Diplomacy Initiative, including Gamma Flight. Hulk looks up. "Big words. Hulk not understand." Henry says that he'll make it simple then. He is the government, which means that he decides what happens next. Meanwhile, over in Bruce's mindscape, Joe Fixit lifts his glasses, asking, "Do you guys know this creep? Seems awfully familiar." Hulk says, "Hulk not sure. Maybe other Hulk met. Puny Banner would know." Joe turns around yelling, "Well, Puny Banner ain't here. Puny Banner got dragged out of our head and down to hell by Sam Stearns of all people. How did Melonhead get that kind of power? And the worst part, or maybe the best, is that somehow Stearns is our dad? And of course, Salad Brain here was on Dad's fight when things went down." Hulk begins to cry, shouting, "Stop yelling! Stop yelling at the Hulk!" But outside of the mindscape, Hulk begins to cry, and Henry asks, why is the Hulk crying? "Tears won't help you now, monster. Go ahead, try shifting all you want. The manacles will adjust, keeping you there as long as we need you there." Inside, Joe asks, "Shift in size? This guy, he ain't kept up, has he? Hey, Hulk, you want to show him how we do things downtown?" Outside, Hulk begins to cough as his stomach begins to balloon out. Henry asks what the hell is going on, and as Hulk's stomach pops. Joe Fixit crawls out telling him, "You must not have been around for a while, have you, Guy Rich? We made a few changes." One of the guards points a gun at Joe, and Joe tells them, "You can get that thing right out of my face. You're standing a little close here." The guard yells, "Don't move, Banner!" And Joe grabs the gun, bashing the stock into the man's face, telling him, "I ain't Banner, and I told you that you were standing too close." Henry begins to run, but Joe chases him, telling him, "Decision time, salad brain. Do we want to go with smart or do we want to go with stretchy?" A few moments later, Samson and the others begin to run down the hall towards the holding cells after hearing a noise, and Puck says that he isn't one to complain. "Why are you in Walt's body, Samson? We all knew you could come back, but never as someone else. And also, if you're in Walt's body, where is Walt?" Samson says that he never fully remembers the other side. But if he found Walt's green door this time, it means that he is somehow inaccessible. Walt is somewhere lost in the Hulk hell. The leader's involved. He was in Del Fry's body when Del killed him. He was Rick too, that he is certain. But they won't get a full picture of any of this until they talk to... hello, Bruce. What's with the gun? As Joe stands in the hallway, he tells them that he ain't Bruce. That's what. That's Samson in there? Samson tells him that that is Joe Fixit, everyone, one of Bruce's alters, though he's hairier than he used to be. But this is good. Joe's actually very reasonable these days, much more than he used to be. Joe tells him, sure, that's him all over. Reasonable. And then he opens fire on the window separating everyone from the vacuum of space. Joe is immediately sucked out, and Samson blocks the hole, keeping everyone in while the window is sealed. Creel yells that they gotta be kidding him. They're at a space station with guns that break windows? And outside in orbit, Joe begins to fall towards Earth, but to survive the landing, he changes back into the Hulk, crash landing in the Coney Island Channel. Hulk swims over and begins to climb out when a voice says, "Well, ain't this a revolting development?" Hulk looks up. "You!" And the voice tells him, "The folks told me you might be dropping in for a visit. The others, they wanted to grab you with a force field or a framostat. But I said no. Just keep the perimeter, I said. Make sure there's no rubberneckers to get hurt. And here they are, just the two of us. You owe me a rematch. Maybe even a whole dang honeymoon. But looking at you now, you might want to quit while you're ahead. Even if I don't talk like it, I'm a smart cookie. Because you know what time it is. Clobbering time!" Seconds later, Thing punches Hulk and Reed radios in asking if everything is okay. But Thing tells him, "Ain't nothing. Old J. Jaw's trying to make a break for it, that's all. Not much of a Hulk leap. Kept right on his tail. He ain't never been a..." Just then Hulk jumps forward punching. "Hulk smash Thing!" Thing steps back, rubbing his jaw, asking, "What gives? You switch out your breakfast cereal or something?" Not to name drop, but Spidey hits harder than that. Back when he was Franklin's age. Thing hits back with another punch of his own, and the Hulk crashes through one of the roller coasters, with Thing stating, "That ride was up for demolition, right?" Thing then walks back through the twisted metal asking, "Do you remember when you beat me into a coma on my honeymoon? Next to how you were back then, you look almost puny." Hulk begins to cry. Shut up! Shut up! Thing is the puny one! Thing was always puny next to Hulk! Hulk not weak! Hulk not! Thing smacks him down, telling him the thing about bullies. Always crying after they get a taste of their own medicine. Let's wipe them tears, buddy. Hulk reaches for a steel beam and cracks it on the side of Thing's head. And Thing tells him, "I take it all back. You can't even dish it out." But as Thing winds up for another hit, Hulk holds his arm up. "Stop! Stop hitting Hulk! Stop hurting Hulk!" Thing pauses. Are you really begging? Sheesh, maybe I ought to go easy. Only you didn't go easy on them folks in Iowa, did you? It's clobbering! But just as Thing swings, Hulk begins to change back into Joe, and before Thing can stop himself, he punches Joe so hard that Joe's body breaks. Thing runs over. "Oh God, Banner, I'm so sorry. I couldn't pull my punch enough." But Joe begins to yell, "He's a kid! He's a kid, you piece of crap! You're beating up on a kid!" The two stare at each other, and Thing says, "Well, Hulk hit me first, and you don't sound like Banner." Joe scoffs, telling him, "And I heard Reed was a genius. Must just be the astronaut school." Thing then reaches down, telling him that they ought to get him to a hospital, and Joe tells him no. No hospitals, no cops. "I got this. Come on, you big green." Joe begins to transform for a moment, but then as Hulk fades, Joe holds out his arms. See? Good as new. Thing tells him, right, so you want to get a hot dog? So later at one of the hot dog stands, Thing sets down a plate telling him big beef dog and all the extras, made with his own rocky hands. Joe takes the hot dog, telling him that until he gets his real self back, he might want to enjoy the finer things. Thing sits down asking, where is Banner then? Did you guys bump him off? And Joe tells him, nah, we were getting along kinda. Acting like a system at least. Had to start working together. We were doing good at it right until the leader came along. Leader got in our head, took Banner and dragged him to hell. Maybe killed Devil Hulk. Left this empty space inside of us. Can't say it any better than that. Some kind of supernatural gamma whammy. Like what he did to us back in Iowa. Thing puts 2 and 2 together. So that was a frame-up? The leader did it? Maybe if we go to the Fantastic Four together, we can... Joe holds up his hands. Nah, trust me. This ain't something they can help with. This isn't a battle of the brains. Also, I heard you died once. That true? Thing tells him, yeah. And Joe asks, did you go upstairs or downstairs? Thing tells him upstairs. And Joe takes a drink of his beer. Yeah, that ain't something that you can help with. Thing takes a sip of his coffee and tells him, you know, pretty soon after that, being dead, meeting the man upstairs, I started to go to temple again. I even had my own bar mitzvah. I did a speech about a passage from the Torah, from the story of Job. Satan, the accuser, takes everything from Job, his family, his home, even his body ain't his no more. All with God's permission to test Job's faith. Of course, it's Satan who asks for the test. Job's buddies figured that he deserved it. But in the face of that, Job demands answers. He wants to know why he was hurt, to speak to the man upstairs, so eventually the Almighty comes to him. Job doesn't get no answers. Just a glimpse at how much he didn't know of how vast God is. After that, I studied that passage, and at the time, I just gotten rich and acted like a real jerk about it. Guess I figured good things didn't happen to bad guys. So all I thought was, hey, things ain't so bad for me. At least I got a job, right? Maybe I should have been looking out for whoever was. Joe finishes his hot dog and asks, where is all this going? And Thing stops. That's a good question. I'll say you got away. The others will go along with it. Just don't make me regret it. If you decide you need our help, just call. Grab a shirt off the rack, will you, Hulk? Joe begins to laugh, telling him, you keep calling me Hulk. And Thing says, so? That's who you are, ain't it? Meanwhile, deep underground in the Shadow Base Site G, inside of the Translocation Lab, a gamma-radiated hand begins to push open the metal doors. And once the pathway is open, a disfigured Rick Jones calls out, and between both of his hands, he says, I'm free. Later aboard the Alpha Flight space station, Henry leans forward in his chair asking, I asked a question. The Hulk, public enemy number 1, the very creature that Gamma Flight Task Force was created to hunt and capture. And he escapes from right under our noses? He wasn't even the Hulk! He was armed with a pair of pants and one of our own guns. How exactly does that happen, Mr. Jude? Puck says, well, since you're our new boss, we thought we'd take the cue from you, eh? How's the jaw? Titania laughs and Henry grabs his phone, stating that he's glad that she finds this amusing. Where's your husband, by the way? Titania says that Carl isn't coming back until they get some stronger windows in the tub. And Henry says that he asks because he just sent a text to a certain legal team in their employ. Within the hour, there will again be a warrant for Carl Creel's arrest across all 50 states. Titania balls her fist, shouting, you son of a! He fought the Hulk for you! The Hulk! How could you do that? And Henry tells her, I already told you how. I sent a text. I was actually curious about that. You fell so easily into the law and order role. You never thought that your turn would come around again? Samson yells, that is enough. You've made your point. We all wish things had gone differently. And Henry asks, do you? We should have put one in your brain the second you came back to life, or called an exorcist. Whatever the proper treatment is for body thieves. Where is your real body anyway? Samson tells him that it's rotting in Shadow Base G, sadly. And no, he doesn't know where it is. He was never told. He just trusted Bruce. Henry slams his fist on the desk. Bruce Banner, the public fugitive? That sounds like a choice, Dr. Samson. The wrong choice. Maybe I should keep you in the Hulk's old cell, huh? Drain the gamma right out of you. Maybe even take your pelt. Make a rug out of it. But as Henry goes on, Samson takes one of his nails and begins to scratch on the window. And Henry yells to the guards to shoot him, now. And the guard says that they think that that wouldn't be wise, sir. When Samson steps away, they see a frowning face carved into the glass. Back on Earth, Jackie walks up to her apartment with her work belongings, stating that she should have never seen this coming. The Herald's been a slow-motion train wreck since the new offices were destroyed. And how much of that was her fault? She was the one chasing the Hulk. She was the one who brought them all into his orbit. And as she fumbles with her keys, she feels like there's someone inside. She shakes off the feeling, and when she opens up the door, a voice asks, "Jackie McGee?" Jackie drops her things as she hears, "It's Shadowbase. It's 14. It's Shadowbase. It's..." Jackie grabs her pepper spray, and Charlene McGowan yells, "Hey, don't shoot! I didn't break in. I was translocated here." Jackie grabs her, telling her, "Forget that. Why are you here? Why did 14 send you?" Charlene tells her, "No, 14 is dead. You were there. You were trying to find people who can help. I've been looking for gamma mutates, like us." Back up in space, Henry says that this is a bluff. Intimidation tactics. It's basic, it's pathetic. And as Henry goes on, Samson scratches more into the glass, telling them, "That's the thing. I've been dead and death is fine. It's being alive again afterwards. That's the surviving. All that surviving. And from my perspective, you'd be doing me a favor." Samson taps on the glass with his nail aggressively, and after a few moments of silence, Henry tells the guards to let them go. They should all be glad that he has higher priorities. Their turn will come. And once they all leave, Henry whispers to his men to call in the backup team. He'll address them personally. Once outside, Titania tells Samson that she has to admit, she never really liked him, but that was one hell of a bluff. Puck laughs, telling him that it was. He nearly convinced himself. And Samson quietly says, "Yeah, me too." Back on Earth, Charlene says that she brought with her a gamma reader. She carries it because she's worried about her own exposure. But she doesn't ping on the radar. They do, since Georgeville presumably. Jackie yells that that is impossible. She was angry just now, but nothing happened. She didn't Hulk out and Charlene tells her that that is not how it works. And Jackie shouts, asking, "How does it work then? What's going on with you? I need to know." But as Jackie looks out the window, she sees her reflection with glowing green eyes. Charlene asks, "Jackie, what are you staring at?" And surrounding Charlene are several gamma-radiated creatures that only Jackie can see. Down below, in the hell of the Hulks, Leader looks at the tangled mess that is Bruce, asking, "What are you looking at?" "Well, Bruce, any ideas?" Bruce asks, "Dad?" And Leader yells, "Concentrate! Part of you is there. Your other parts, the altars, they're above, in the world. Gamma should be flowing between you, from here to there to here. Feedback loop ever increasing. A beautiful spire of gamma up in the sky, down to the lowest point, to the one below all. And you know what's really galling? Brian made it work, and I have done a much better job on you. Look what I've wrought from you, Bruce, from your twisted soul." Bruce begins to call out, "Mother? Mother, please look at me." And the Leader sighs, stating, "Something's not there. Some vital connection in the circuit. I devoured Brian. I became him. So somewhere the answer is inside of me. What am I missing, Dr. Banner?" A shade of Brian appears, telling him that it burrows in. It wears their souls like masks on a stage. Leader snaps back. "Is this what you're going to show up for? At least make sense of it." "Wait, what did you say?" Brian smiles, telling him, "A host personality. I tried to warn you." Leader says, "Broken link. It isn't between here and the living world, it's between Bruce and his altars. It's between him and that. The thing up there." Brian says they devoured him, they became him, but they weren't the first. They said it themselves, or wait, was it him? He is himself, but he's also that. As the giant hand of the one below all grabs the Leader shouts, "Stop it! Someone help! Bruce!" But Bruce tells him that this really isn't the best time. As Leader reappears in hell, he sits up. Yes, of course, I was so blind, but now I see. The Hulk is the most dangerous gamma-radiated creature to exist. The Gamma Flight just walked out of their responsibility to catch him, but who needs them, right? A voice tells him, not them. Not for what he's paying. This amnesty that he mentioned, it's permanent, right? And Henry smiles, telling him that he can trust him. He's one of the good guys. Another voice asks, what about the rules of engagement? Looks like they've run into some Hulk huggers. Henry says, "You want rules? For me? How should I put this? We're with the government now. The UFOs can do whatever they need to do." In a coffee shop in New York City, Joe Fixit drinks his cup of coffee, going over the events that brought him to this point in time. He isn't Bruce Banner. Banner's gone. Leader took him to hell, killed the Devil Hulk too. So right now it's him and the dumb Hulk, and they ain't exactly themselves. Stearns took most of the Gamma when he took Banner, so now the big guy looks like someone let the air out of him. Deflated, weak, puny. Then there's him. Joe Fixit used to be the Grey Hulk. Now, and Lord only knows why, he's stuck in Banner's body. One more puny human just trying to stay alive. But then again, he's real good at staying alive. Lucky for him, Banner got one of those faces, non-descriptive, especially when you grow a mustache on it. Just another guy with one of those faces. As a well-dressed man walks down the sideway, he yells at the person on the phone that he is with that he doesn't care about her health problems. He cares about good tenants. Bingo, that's the one. Joe bumps into the man, swiping his wallet, and he goes and gets himself some new clothes. The money got him dressed, but he's going to need more. That's where the credit cards come in. He heads into the jewelry shop, telling the clerk that he needs that diamond bracelet. That one is for his wife. And the necklace, that one is not for the wife, you know? Speaking of, what is she doing later? The clerk scowls, stating that she has plans, and Joe takes his items thinking, perfect. And if the cops come by, she'll tell them all about the skeezy guy with the loud shirt. After that, just gotta find a pawn shop that doesn't ask a lot of questions. Might not get the full worth of diamonds, but hey, no questions are good questions, right? But while Joe is getting himself set up over in Los Diablos, New Mexico, Puck asks if this is the original Gamma Bomb test site. Samson, still in Walt's body as Sasquatch, says that this was also known as Shadow Base Site G, the last Shadow Base site still working, at least until recently. Bruce and Charlene and the rest of them set up shop after the battle with 14. Puck says that makes sense. It's deserted now, and the Shadow Base definitely has a presence in these parts. And since he was here last, it was clean. No Gamma to be found, at least on the surface. Shaman tells them all the more reason to start working. Unlike them, he has a life to get back to. Also, let it be known that he is strictly here to help Walter Lekowski return to his body, which means returning him to his. Which is where, Mr. Samson? Samson points off in the distance, stating about 100 feet below them, sealed under solid rock and a couple of steel blast doors. Sorry. Shaman sighs. That's a little bit of a complication. I can maybe take us to the body through a portal ad. But Puck looks off, telling him, maybe not, eh? Maybe the body's coming to us. As the ground begins to pulse with gamma radiation, Samson says that it is a bad sign, and Shaman asks, you think? Any other complications you may have failed to mention to me, Mr. Samson? As they all stare, the ground begins to break as an arm reaches out, pulling with it a gamma-irradiated body that has 2 heads. I'm free! Shaman says that he's going to assume that, yes, there are more complications than have been mentioned. Meanwhile, back in New York, Joe sees a police car pull up and 2 officers get out yelling, "Hey, Hulk guy!" Joe freezes. Do they know? And the officer adds, "Yeah, you in the hoodie!" Just walking past Joe was a teen wearing a Hulk smash hoodie. And the cops run up, pushing Joe out of the way, telling him to move it. As they grab the teen, they slam him into the wall as he yells that he didn't do anything, but the officers tell him that they're sick of his damn disrespect. Joe says that he has to go. This isn't his fight. But the teen, he just wore the Hulk's name on his back. No, this ain't his fight. He ain't a good guy. The officers begin to hit the teen, and as Joe turns to leave, he looks at his reflection. We're not the good guy, right? What do you think? Hulk looks back at him in the reflection, shaking his fist, and Joe smiles. Okay, kid, I got ya. Joe begins to transform, letting Child Hulk free, and Hulk grabs the officer's car, shouting, "Beauty humans leave! Hulk friends alone, or Hulk will smash!" Hulk slams the car down and begins to rip it apart as the officers run away, stating, "I am the strongest that there is!" And as he watches, a bright light begins to shine and several holes are shot into the Hulk before he can even turn his head. A voice tells him that he's sorry, but he really begs to differ. And the Hulk finally manages to look back, seeing Vector and the UFOs staring down at him. Ironclad runs forward, punching the Hulk in the back, telling him, "I told you I was gonna fight a Hulk. Who is this bag of bones meant to be, huh? Who are you?" As Hulk is thrown across the street, he grabs a car. Hulk is Hulk, and Hulk is tired of being hit. Hulk takes the car, slamming it down over Ironclad, and X-Ray yells, "That's it, you've tagged out. It's my turn, right?" Ironclad yells it was a surprise, and Vector says, "You know the rules. You got tagged. Turn's over. We all get a piece." But before X-Ray could attack, Vapor takes the form of gas, telling X-Ray that he was too slow. It's her turn now. She fills Hulk's body with poison, and he violently begins to vomit as people watch and record, stating that this isn't right. It's 4 against 1. It just isn't right. X-Ray yells, "Is it his turn yet?" And Vector laughs, telling him, "No, step aside. I'm the leader here, and I've already waited too long for my power of directional force to strip every last scrap of flesh from the Hulk and leave his skull polished from my mantle." Hulk screams as his skin is ripped off of his bones, and when he finally loses the strength to hold onto the ground, he's flung into the air and across the water. Vector is surprised. Guess we're picking this up in New Jersey. But while the Hulk is fighting for his life after being thrown into another state, back in New Mexico, Doc Samson, Puck, and Shaman witness a supercharged, gamma-irradiated body shuffling towards them. Puck asks, "What the hell is that thing?" And Samson yells, "It's what killed me." And it looks like Rick Jones is growing out of its back now. Puck looks back at Shaman, asking if he has any magic in his bag for this monstrosity. And Shaman tells him, no, not yet. The creature seems more defensive than aggressive. Samson shouts, asking, "Defensive? That thing murdered me! That's the leader in there, and he's laughing at us." The two heads of the creature ask, "Leader?" Samson roars as he slashes into the creature using the Sasquatch body. But Rick asks him to stop. Stop! And Puck yells to wait. It isn't fighting back. Shaman says that that is the Sasquatch, the beast. Samson isn't used to its fury. And Puck asks, "What do you think? What do we do?" Just then, Charlene and Jackie translocate to their location, and Charlene asks, "Len, is that you?" Puck says that that's pretty convenient timing, and Shaman says, "Synchronicity is a major component of magic, and so is taking the credit." Charlene says that there was nothing magic about it. She noticed a serious gamma spike out here and figured she'd take a look. She readies her blaster, but Samson tells her, "Wait, Puck is right. The creature didn't fight back." And Jackie looks at it, telling him that it looks like Rick, and he isn't smiling. Charlene says, "So? What does that prove?" The leader faked being Rick for weeks, months. He took them all in. And Jackie says that she knows, but it's like she could see him now out of the corner of her eye. As Jackie's eyes turn green, she begins to see another layer of the world, one where Samson is back in his original body. Two people are inside of that creature's body fighting, and other grotesque creatures are standing around. But back in New Jersey, in the Hulk's battle, his body is attempting to regrow as he says, "Hulk will smash!" And Vector tells him not to get up. He's fine right where he is. Hulk doesn't listen, beginning to crawl out of the crater, and Vector asks, "No? You're not gonna save yourself the pain? Look at you! What keeps you going?" Vector raises his hand to finish the fight, but Ironclad tells him that this isn't right. It's X-Ray's turn. He said everyone gets a piece, remember? Let the little guy have it. Vector sighs, telling him of course. The good guys always stick to the rules. Okay, X-Ray, you're up. X-Ray begins to blast the Hulk with cosmic rays, laughing, yelling that that's right. I'm last to bat, so I'm gonna knock it out of the park. Feel that? Pure concentrated anti-gamma radiation. It's like candy to us. And it's like pure poison to you. It'll burn you right back into the weak, puny human you're supposed to be. And I'm not stopping there. The Hulk's body is forcibly being changed back into Joe as he says, "You sons of..." But as X-Ray increases the intensity of his beams, burning the Hulk away until he is nothing but a smoldering skeleton on the ground, Joe wakes up. Well, that ain't good. What's the word, kid? Hulk, separated from Joe, looks around. Bad! We're in a bad place! Hulk not know what to do! Joe gets up looking at the giant monstrosity that is the leader in front of them, stating that he's going to spit in that thing's eye. But after that, I'm out of ideas. Just then, the green door appears, the thing that they need to walk through to be revived in their skeletal body. And the Hulk looks at it, stating, "Hulk not know what to do." And Joe tells him, "It's okay. We got the green door on our side. That's our way out of here, kid." But before they could step through, the leader tells them, The door has two sides, see? The door begins to turn red, and as Hulk tries to push on it, it doesn't move, and the Hulk says, "Hulk, push! Hulk!" But door locked. As the minions of the planes of hell attack, Leader tells them that their souls will be hollowed, that they will be no different from the shells that echo around here. They will be the true Hulks, a wandering carcass wreaking destruction, making the leader ever stronger. And as they have since the moment that the one below all entered his flesh, and their circuit was complete. He will be their leader, and they will follow, as his good and faithful servants, as they were always meant to be. The creatures begin to get closer, and Joe tells them, "All right, we got our work cut out for us." Meanwhile, back in New Mexico, Shaman is using his powers to see through Jackie's eyes, stating that it would seem that they have their work cut out for them. He's not worried about the phasmophorical fauna. That's normal, especially in an area with so much resonant history. But he's seeing two people locked in the body, Rick Jones and a younger man that he doesn't recognize. And they're not used to the situation. They're in conflict. That's where the problem lies. As Shaman pulls away, Jackie asks, what does he mean normal? He said that she is seeing fauna. Shaman says that there was a time when he did not believe that there were spirits in this world of the living or the dead. Jackie asks, "Ghosts, you're saying that I can see ghosts?" Puck scratches his chin, stating that it all makes sense. Seeing ghosts in astral forms is a Hulk power. He'll bet that she can even sniff out lies now too. Jackie yells, "Great, she could turn into a monster at any moment," but Puck says that she doesn't know that. The gamma abilities manifest in all sorts of ways. Shaman puts his hands on the two heads of the creature, stating that he can align these two and ease their suffering, but he cannot separate them. Even making an attempt would be a risk to the patient. Hopefully Samson is going better with his errand and retrieving his body. Down below in the shadow base, Samson and Charlene follow the gamma footprints, and Samson says that here's the lab. How is she doing with the radiation? Charlene says that she'll be fine if she doesn't stay here too much longer. She really doesn't want to turn out like, well, Samson tells her. "Like me, I understand. Being this creature, frankly, I don't know how Walter stood it." Charlene says that she was actually referring to Jackie, some of the things that she is describing seeing. As the two shine their lights around, Samson says, speaking of seeing things, can she, see his body anywhere? Charlene moves the light to a large spot where the gamma ate through the floor, stating that she's going to guess that this is where it was. That's not good. And 2 miles away, a man holds out his thumb on the side of the road with a woman stopping. The man asks if she's going his way, and the woman laughs, stating that she is now. He's lucky that she stopped, though. Hitchhiking in the desert, he must be having a bad night. The man smiles as he sits in the car. Actually, I've never felt this good in my life. My name's Walter Samson. Meanwhile, over in New Jersey, the UFOs are keeping watch over Hulk's body while the team comes to collect it, and X-Ray continues to pour on the cosmic rays. But as he does, something sparks inside of the husk that is the Hulk's body. Down below, the minions are grabbing at Joe, and he yells that he isn't afraid of them. They know who they're messing with. I'm a Hulk, you hear that? Worst Hulk of them all. I'm Sunshine Joe Fixit, the Incredible Hulk. At that moment, Joe transforms into the Red Hulk, turning back and clapping his hands, yelling at the minions to get away from the kid. And the Hulk looks up. Red Hulk? Joe smiles, telling him something like that. Step aside, pal. We're blowing this popcorn stand. He focuses his strength, punching the red door, shattering it, and soon everything fades to black. Meanwhile, back in New Jersey, the spark begins to grow, re-knitting the Hulk's body. Ironclad asks what the hell is happening to him, and as Joe stands up, he laughs. Sounds like somebody is getting scared. That's right, you ought to be scared. You all ought to be scared. You had a real good run, but now it's our turn. And as Joe continues to laugh, he steps forward, back to the size of a normal Hulk, radiating power. While Joe Fixit relishes in his newfound power to become the Red Hulk, back at Shadow Base Site G, Samson is scratching his chin, currently trapped in the body of Sasquatch, asking a very important question. What now? Puck says that it is a very good question. Hate to say it, but your body's in the wind. We just have to hope the leader isn't wearing whatever you've become. Samson tells him no, it's Legowski. He ran off with it. Jackie asks, Walter, are you sure? And Samson tells them, I have to admit, I don't have much more of a hunch right now, but it feels right. I'm in Legowski's body, so he took mine and ran with it. Shaman reaches into his pocket, stating that they are in quasi-magical territory now. Important details will come to them, hunches included. As he pulls out a small device, Charlene asks what is it, and Shaman tells her, a radio, just a simple radio. When he turns it back on, the radio crackles and begins to broadcast the ongoing fight in the streets of New York. Shaman turns it back on, stating, see, quasi-magical territory. Charlene says that they need to help the Hulk, but Puck tells her that's a line we'd be crossing, from Greenwich's bad books to the most wanted list. We need to think carefully before Alpha Flight is helping the Hulk. Just then Rick says, Bruce, hard to think, separate thoughts, but Bruce, he saved me, so I save him always, we save him, please. Charlene says that she's obviously in, and Puck says, fine. We'll take a vote. All in favor? Everyone but Shaman raises their hands, and Puck says, okay, motion carried. If Hulk needs help, Gamma Flight is coming to the rescue. But it isn't the Hulk who needs help. Meanwhile, over in New York, Joe's smile widens as he asks, all right, who's up first? And Ironclad charges in, telling him, right here, about time we had ourselves a real fight. Ironclad swings and Joe ducks, telling him, down low. And as the second comes, Joe catches him, telling him, too slow. And he begins to crush Ironclad's head. As Joe's thumb dig in and press into Ironclad's head, he yells out to stop. And X-Ray yells that they have to do something. He's killing Mike. Ironclad's head is almost beginning to melt as Joe is mangling it, until Vector blows him away, telling Vapor, turn into an anesthetic or something to help. Vapor yells, the hell with that, she's gonna turn into a sulfuric acid gas. It'll be her gift to the Hulk as his face melts off. Joe grins, inhaling her, telling her, oh, you shouldn't have. And he holds it. Vector stares as Joe walks up, blowing vapor back into Vector's face. He screams out as his eyes are burning out of his skull. And then Vapor changes composition, telling him, I'm so sorry, I can neutralize the burning with... Vector begins to frantically swat away at Joe, begging him, just get away, leave me alone. But before he knows it, Joe is soaring through the sky laughing. All you had to do was ask. Vector Express, the only way to travel. A short while later, Greenwich asks, you're telling me you had him and you threw the Hulk away? X-Ray yells that Vector blasted him back towards Manhattan. Maybe, but something bulked him up and he was unstoppable. Greenwich says, that isn't good enough. You work for me now, UFOs. When I give you a task, I expect you to carry it out. Vapor then shouts, we had him down, ready for collection and containment. Maybe if you weren't slow, Vector wouldn't be blind. What are you going to do about that? Greenwich sighs, grabbing his phone. Something I will likely regret. And as he gets ready to make the call, the Avengers logo appears. Meanwhile, over in Manhattan, Joe walks into a bar, telling the bartender, I'm in a champagne kind of mood. Go ahead and put it on my tab. The bartender looks at him, you're the Hulk. And Joe tells him, how about that? The TV didn't lie. There's a place where everyone knows your name. As the bartender begins to pour pitchers for Joe, Joe drinks them, telling him, ain't tasting like they used to. Get me some whiskey, that'll help. The bartender begins to grab the bottles and pour them into a bucket when a voice says, then I shall have the mead, and 'twas served in legend. Joe turns as Mjolnir rockets in, hitting him in the chin, knocking him down. He gets up asking, what is this? You want a rematch? Ain't really in the mood for... Thor slams the hammer down, telling him, be silent. When we clashed before, you surprised me, thus humbled a god. And now you face the king of gods. Joe gets up asking, so? Am I supposed to bow or something? You changed your play clothes, but you still have that silver spoon lodged right up your... Thor calls down the thunder. Enough! And more than enough! After being electrocuted, Joe charges forward, punching throughout the building, yelling, I will not bow down to you! Hulk does not bow down to anyone! Not when I was weak, not when I was stuck in his banner, and not when there's no hope for all. Not even when I was dead. But Joe steps out, and that's when he sees all of the Avengers there ready to fight. Black Panther tells him, even with your strength restored, it is 7 against 1. You have no chance, Hulk. At that moment, another voice says, no, against 2. And as everyone looks up, they see Betty in her harpy form perched on the lamp post. Within seconds, the street becomes a battleground for an all-out brawl with Joe and Betty against the Avengers. As Blade stabs his sword into Joe's back, he asks, "Does the Hulk get stronger at night? Because those are some vampire signs." Joe rips him off his back, telling him, "I have a quick question. Can you turn into a bat?" Blade pauses for a moment and tells him, "No." And Joe launches him into the air. "Well, it might be time to learn." Cap yells for Iron Man to go, and as Iron Man says the Hulk is just trying to split them up, Black Panther tells him, "And we retain the advantage. A single disciplined warrior is enough against a raging beast." As Black Panther charges his energy daggers, Joe asks, "Discipline, huh? How'd that work out for you last time?" Black Panther discharges the daggers into Joe's eyes, telling him, "Back then I offered mercy. I attempted dialogue. And the Hulk taught me my lesson." But across the street, Betty is pressing down with her talons on Captain Marvel's chest as She-Hulk says, "Please, words harder in this form. We can still." And Betty yells, "No! Words aren't hard. They're small, puny little boxes. They hide thoughts, so they say less and more. Yes?" She-Hulk stops. "You know?" And Carol says, "Good, keep her distracted." As Betty is struck with a cosmic blast, She-Hulk yells, "No, I was talking!" Carol flies up, "Yeah, to her. And while you were doing that, she was also crushing my ribs. We're all not Gamma people, Jen." Just then a light begins to shine, and a familiar voice yells, "Sorry we're late to the party. We had to stop for a couple of extra guests." As Carol can tell, we're Gamma Flight, and we like to officially take control of the situation, rather than do the other thing. With Creel and Titania joining the crew, making it an even fight, Samson calls out to Thor, "Wait! If you could release the Hulk and Harpy into my care." And Carol yells, "Whoever you are, Gamma Flight does not have jurisdiction over the Hulk anymore. You will just have to leave." Joe continues to taunt the Thor, so much so that Thor summons a lightning strike so concentrated that it rips part of Joe's arm off. Charlene raises her rifle, stating, "So much for the easy option," and Samson tells her, "Wait!" And Charlene pulls the trigger, hitting Carol Danvers. Carol says, "You know I can absorb energy, right?" And Charlene says, "That's why I didn't bring a gun. It's a measuring device that feeds biodata to a translocation platform to make sure you have a safe trip." As Carol begins to disappear, Charlene says, "Don't worry, I sent her to a base in Arizona. She'll be fine." Titania begins to walk towards She-Hulk. "What are we going to do about Shulky here?" And Betty steps between them, stating, "She's with me. She has seen the door, haven't you?" She-Hulk stops in her tracks. Yes, I have." Thor then strikes Joe with Mjolnir, yelling, "A gift to you! My rage heaped on an altar, a fitting tribute for Midgard's god of wrath." But before Thor can end it, Joe gets up, slapping his disfigured flesh against his face when suddenly Joe's arm solidifies, trapping Thor's head within. Joe laughs. "It's the old regrow the arm trick. Like it? Now talk some more about how you know me." Thor begins to aimlessly hit Joe in the arm, and Cap yells that he can't breathe. And Joe asks, "Oh, is that right? He can't finish what he started? Ain't that a shame?" But then Black Panther charges his claws, telling him, "That's an interesting trick. Mind showing me again?" And the claws easily slice through Joe's skin, cutting the arm off again. Charlene begins to get ready to teleport another when Cap throws his shield, telling her, "I appreciate the non-lethal approach, but I can't allow you to." But that's when Cap notices the shield not returning, and when he looks back, he stares as Del Fry chews on the shield, and Rick Jones asks, "Don't I know you?" Cap sees Rick trapped in the body of another man, mangled together with a different soul. Who did this to you?" And Joe asks, "Are you kidding? It's who it always was. It's Sam Stearns." But before he could finish, Black Panther plunges it down with a spear made of pure energy, ripping through Joe's shoulder, pinning him to the ground. Joe screams, trying to fight Black Panther off, and Betty looks at She-Hulk, waiting to see what she'll do. She hesitates for a moment and then says, "Damn you. Damn all of you." And with a thundering clap, she aims the shockwave carefully to blow the Avengers away, giving Charlene the time to prime the translocation platform. Puck yells to everyone to hurry and get on, they're leaving. So Betty picks up Joe and Charlene and says, "Don't worry, there's enough room for us," and teleports them all away. Titania looks over at She-Hulk getting on the platform, asking what the hell is she? And She-Hulk says, "All the Hulks." A few seconds later, at a Brooklyn hideout, everyone teleports in, and Titania says that they have their own place, and everyone is welcome to join. Except Walter's there. Speaking of, why did you even help us? She-Hulk couldn't figure out why herself, so she wrestled between the thoughts of Jen and She-Hulk, but there was something else that was confusing her. She says, Hulk, Jen did not expect that. And everyone looks over in the direction that she is looking, to see Joe and Betty kissing. Later in the bedroom of the hotel suite in Manhattan, Joe begins to unzip his pants, stating, "Gotta ask, what are we doing?" Betty, still in her heartbeat form, tells her not to make so much noise, they're hiding. And Joe says, "Is this a joke? Since when do you start cracking wise?" She tells him since now, why not? He doesn't find this funny? The old married couple? Joe sits up. "No, this is different. You married Banner. I ain't Banner, remember? And your real husband ain't here." She changes back into her human form, stating that she doesn't remember the Hulk being so sensitive. Joe stares, telling her that he forgot how quick she can do that, but she better not be expecting him to do the same. He was in Banner's body long enough to last a lifetime. She sits up, telling him not to change the subject. He talks about Bruce not being around. He means that Bruce doesn't want to come out, right? Even though she came back to help them, Bruce hasn't been present with her since he returned from the dead. Before even that, he avoided her for months. Then when he finally got the courage to face her, when he got her killed, it woke up what was inside, the gamma, and everything else that she's been absorbing for years. He didn't like the look of that, the look of her, but as a Joe, he always did. Right from the start, he always saw the real Betty, the real Harpy. That's the difference. This is her, this is them, it's theirs. Don't be the Hulk, don't smash it up. Joe pauses for a moment. Damn. Banner isn't hiding from you. He's gone. He's in hell or someplace below hell. It's leader stuff. Stearns is back and he's there and he's got Banner. When Stearns took Banner, he was weak, in chains in Banner's head. We couldn't have stopped it. But he was down there again just before you showed up, down in hell, as a Hulk, strong as he's ever was. But he didn't look like Banner. I was just looking out for myself. Betty quietly starts to process all of this and transforms, screaming, "You left Bruce in hell?" Out in the living room, She-Hulk, as Jen, tells Jackie that it sounds like they're back to screaming at each other again. She's starting to think that she should have gone with Titania. At least they'd only probably try to kill her once. And thankfully, having a lot of money can get you some decent soundproofing rooms. Back inside, Betty asks, "What else are you not saying?" And Joe tells her, "Nothing. If I wanted to lie, I could have said that I didn't remember. We don't usually. Look, I was in the moment, reacting, and now it's done. I got me and the kid out, but Banner's still there. It's done. I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do." Betty stops him. "You're sorry? No, you don't know how to be sorry. You want to look sorry, but that's just camouflage to hide the real you, the you that just cares about himself. Sometimes I can ignore that part of you. Sometimes you could even make me happy. We laugh together. Sometimes isn't enough. This is you, the selfish part of Bruce, the part that takes, and not the part that hides, like Bruce did. Not that part, I thought. But I forgot this was your life away from me. Joe Fixit in Vegas, hiding. You, Bruce, all of you. And I always come back, and then you hide again. It's all we have. It's all we are. Hide and seek." Joe tells her, "Yeah, well, I'm done hiding." Betty asks, "What? You want to make a move now? We're still being hunted." And Joe tells her, "No, I mean it. I don't want to hide from you anymore." Betty says, "Well, there's no point anyway. There's nothing that I haven't seen." And Joe tells her, "There's one thing. Banner got beat half to death by his father. And while his father was off sleeping it off, while his ma wasn't there, he watched a black and white movie through his black eyes. Somewhere in there is the idea of what a grown-up is. Someone who can take the pain. That's what I started as, a kid's idea of a man. I can talk tough, I can crack wise. And if you piss me off, I'll beat you half to death. Maybe I'll make you hurt so bad you'll never recover. Maybe you'll enjoy it, because that's what a grown-up is. But that ain't me anymore. It's not what I want to be." Betty stares for a moment and asks, So? So what?" Joe's silent for a moment and tells her, "So, I love you, so that. I don't want to not say it anymore. I'm sick of not saying it. It was always you. For me, it was always and always and always. She looks away asking, what does she do with that he hid from her? A whole life in Vegas. She thought he was dead. She cried, she hurt, he hurt her. Not Bruce, Joe Fixit. As Betty climbs out the window, Joe tells her, us, all of us, the whole damn mental system, we're messed up. We're messed up, we're dumb, we're angry, and we don't know how to fix it. Why Hulk hurt so much? That's all of us. And we all don't know a damn thing. But I want to learn, I want to be better. I want to be a better him. Betty asks, do you really? And Joe says, who the hell knows is the answer. But since I started coming out in the day, I started thinking about stuff more. Thinking about people more. And I like how that feels. It's a good thing. So is that good enough? Am I good enough? Am I a good person now? When Joe looks back at Betty for an answer, she's already gone. All right, I guess I'll count to 1,000. A few moments later, Joe steps out of the bedroom stating that Betty took off. Don't everyone look shocked. She-Hulk pauses. Hulk not surprised. And Jackie asks, what is the plan? Joe tells her, good question. He's been reacting ever since Shadow Base Hell. Hiding, letting the world come to him, and that ain't him. Not anymore. You want to know who's a good person? Nobody's a good person. Nobody's anything but what they've done and what they've got done. Time to start getting things done. It's time we went to hell and find Bruce. Ready or not. Someone would say the story of the Fantastic Four was an oddly American tale. 4 pioneers breaking the rules for a journey into the unknown. When they came back, they were avatars of scientific progress, of the family unit, of courage against the odds. They were America as it likes to see itself. As symbolic as the rocket that took them to the stars, which wasn't a bomb, but as above, not so below. Now Joe, She-Hulk, and Jackie are walking through the rain-slick streets so empty that it feels like a dream. However, for them, it isn't that American fairy tale, no noble journey. The rules that they have broken have made them outcasts, not heroes. She-Hulk contacted Ben Grimm, the Thing, an old friend. He was going to help them get into hell and save Bruce Banner from the depths of hell. So into the Baxter building they went. But She-Hulk's call calls her to be greeted by some old friends, and that welcome wasn't the most pleasant. The heroes stared and She-Hulk put up her arms to try and protect Jackie, but it didn't matter. Joe then continued to walk right into the center of it all. Things were said, speeches after speeches, but Joe didn't say anything. He smiled, and that's when it all erupted. No one knows who threw the first punch. Someone must have, but the fight was on. She-Hulk tried to speak reason with her fellow superheroes, but the sound of fists made even her sound quiet. The sound of weapons, the sound of Joe's bones breaking and knitting back together. But something in Joe would never let him give in, because even if he was knocked out, killed, sawed into pieces, put into jars, he'd never fall. Because if he did, he'd never get up again. Through all of the fighting, even the loud noises faded as the invisible space around Joe took shape and widened. Then the doors opened and it was the Fantastic Four. It was the Thing who sounded the most human of them all. "What's the matter with you all?" he said, genuinely aggrieved. "Did they hurt you, pal?" Nothing was said when the Thing led Joe to the lab and the heroes stayed behind. Joe didn't beat them, but then again, they didn't beat him. They walked deeper into the building, passing all of the slashing lights and security systems. They arrived at what they called the Forever Gate. It was a portal to take them anywhere, the kind of miracle the Fantastic Four dealt with on a daily basis, and Dr. Richards attempted to explain it. All of the particles, waves, frequencies, gamma, and cosmic radiation, it hardly made sense to anyone. The Fantastic Four said that they would back him up, but this gate, it was only made for a Hulk. Joe could walk in, and it would close behind him. But when Joe went through, so did Jackie. She wanted to follow the story, to ride that rocket that the Fantastic Four once did. But it wasn't a rocket, because as above, not so below. As Joe came out on the other side of hell, it wasn't just Jackie with him. It was the savage one, the dumb Hulk. So now there's also a cosmically charged Joe, the gamma-charged childlike Hulk, and the gamma-irradiated reporter Jackie. Down below, in this hellscape, it is nothing but ruins, but as Joe remembered it, it was quiet. Jackie asked if maybe they needed a Hulk without gamma in him for this fight, something that is the opposite of gamma. Maybe they needed a cosmic ray Hulk in the Bruce Banner system to free him from all of this. And Joe told her that that is actually an idea. Big Daddy Devil Hulk was all about intuition. He'd have figured that out long before we could. Not sure if he was super smart or just making little connections or just playing off of hunches. Savage Hulk turns to him.
I miss him, the devil, but I scared. This place will hurt us. I can feel it. Why Hulk here? Hulk is scared.
Jackie looks up asking how. How are they supposed to fight something like this? And Joe tells her that he has no idea. But maybe they should walk up and start hitting it, I guess. But seeing that giant building with the leader's face on each side of it, I ain't liking our odds. They walk up to the massive doors and Joe does what he does best. And he punches it over and over again. He doesn't even make a dent. So he steps back and says that it doesn't look like anyone is going to answer the door. Or maybe the leader didn't hear them. Whatever it is, it's stronger than me. Hulk steps up telling him that he wants to try, and Joe tells him to knock himself out. It's possible that the leader doesn't even know that they're out here. This thing isn't exactly the leader. It's like a shell or a cocoon. Probably something inside of it is feeding off Banner, completing the big old gamma circuit. However, while Joe thinks about what to do next, the Hulk punches and punches and punches. And he thinks to himself when the leader told him that he loves him. You stupid, stupid child. And the Hulk screams, Hulk, not stupid! And finally he breaks through after almost breaking his own hand. Hulk quietly says, Hulk just wanted daddy. Just wanted daddy to love Hulk. But as the Hulk tells himself that he isn't a monster, a hollowed out Brian Banner, the father of Bruce Banner and technically the father of all of the Hulks, walks out. I knew the Hulk was a monster. Also, you really have nowhere else to go. So go on and sort all of this out, huh? Help me. As the Hulk gets ready to run in, Joe grabs him, telling him, that ain't Brian! It's a trap! You gotta stay calm! Hulk pulls away, yelling, Hulk is sick of being calm! Sick of being hurt! Hulk has had enough, and now Hulk will smash! Inside is a labyrinth of stairs going every which way, filled out with more hollowed out versions of everyone. Hulk sees Jarella walking, grabbing her arm, but her arm just breaks off. Then one of the hollows taps on the Hulk, telling him to stop, brother. You'll destroy everything. And the Hulk looks back asking, who? No. Hulk no face. Hulk no you. Big head man. Big head puny human self. Stearns. Hulk begins to rip the hollow Sam Stearns apart, telling him that he will climb and bring everyone back. And as he rushes on, Joe and Jackie step in to see another odd hollow. She asks who that is, and Joe says that it's Mike Berengetti. He was a casino boss in Vegas. Jackie says that all of these people, they're echoes in the Hulk systems, figures that have played important roles in his life to each of his versions. The two of them continue into the center of the building where they see a giant head at the top of the room, and it seems to be trying to eat the Hulk. The Hulk calls for help, but then an alien head grows out of one of the walls and the leader says, sorry about that. Just making something so that I could speak. The big mouth up there is only for feeding. Joe tells him to release the Hulk, but the leader tells him, the gamma circuit is complete. This Hulk was needed to give it power, and there's no escape either. All the green doors are closed and locked. No journeying to the surface world again. Now beat him down, slave, and feed him to me. With him being connected to the leader, the Hulk then begins to fight Joe, asking for help, punching him over and over again. Jackie calls out to them to try and break it up, but then her eyes begin to glow. Joe tells her to get away. Her game of power is only for looking. If she's going to Hulk out, she needs to get it done with already. She's been scared and pissed off before, but she has to go. She tells him that there isn't anywhere for her to go. She can. Jackie's hollowed out father walks up telling her to look, but she tells him she can't. They're going to die here, and she can't die talking to ghosts. Jackie's father says that there's a plan. And she asks, what is the plan? What is she supposed to do? What is she supposed to be looking at? He tells her that he is proud of her, and Jackie says that it's not anger, is it? She's been angry. She's been scared. She's been reacting, acting like who she was lost in all of this. And she is still the lost little Jacqueline McGee, the investigative reporter, and she still looks into things. She opens her eyes, letting out a concentrated gamma beam flow out, cutting into the giant leader head. The Hulk pulls off the connectors from his body, yelling, smash! And Joe looks at all of the connectors. No smashing, we gotta pull! They begin to pull on the cords hanging out from inside of the giant leader's mouth, tugging and pulling until something begins to give. And at that moment, a fleshy green cocoon is ripped out, crashing onto the floor with a gross spletch. From the grotesque mound, a body crawls out, yelling, "Bruce, you gotta help me!" The Hulk says, "Leader's puny human self." And Joe asks Jackie if she can tell if this is a trick. She tells him no. All the gamut is gone, and Stearns yells that he is nothing. He is just a guy, just Sam from the plant. He saw a green door and he wanted to know. But the things that he learned. He crawls into a ball, shouting, "I don't want to know anymore. Get it out of my head." The giant head begins to crumble, and Joe says that they need to hurry and get out of here. Maybe they shouldn't have popped the leader like a zit. Stearns says that he's here, the one that turned him into this, the one below all. Hulk begins to shout that Stearns did not want to know, but Hulk want to know. Hulk want to know why. Why hurt the Hulk so much? Why is the Hulk broken inside? Why is he always afraid, always in pain? Tell the Hulk why. Why? The large green head begins to form, and the one below all says that he howls through many mouths, breaks many hands. They are themselves, but they are also him. He burns the good earth for what is not real. He poisons your mind, kills all in love with you. He is the wrath without judgment. He is fear. And he is all of you. Joe tells him, no, that ain't what the kid asked. And we all want to know why. We already know who you are. You think that we don't know whose Hulk you are? Come on, show us your face. Show us the real you. The one below all begins to fade as a shining light radiates and a voice says, very well, I am the one above all. Now look upon me, mortals. The Hulk says that he is afraid, and Jackie says, what is she looking at? It has her mom's face, and Joe squints and tells them to answer the question. And the one above all looks down and says, you are all my children. Joe shouts, no, Mike Burngett was my father. You're just a guy who knocked me around. The one above all pauses. You are my creation. You are necessary. There is a weight and a counterweight. Where were you when I laid these foundations? Declare if you have understanding. No, that ain't right. You want to torture me? I could take it. But we're asking why? Why are you torturing us? What is the plan? The reason? Tell us why we hurt. Tell us why there is a Hulk. Joe pulls Bruce away from the remaining connectors, and the one above all asks, why are you the way that you are? That is what I'm asking! No, you ask of me, what is the Hulk? What have you become? With these hands I build, and with these hands I break, and I break to build anew. Have you an arm like mine? Would you build or break? You are my creation, and I made you the counterweight. To ask of you, are you Gebra or Galachab? What of Chesda? What of Mercy? What will you become? For the left hand is strength. Hulk chimes in, I don't understand. And Hulk doesn't forget it. This guy's messing with us. He has no answers. Not for us, at least. We don't need to know why the Hulk exists. With Bruce out of the Gamma Circuit, we're done. And she asks him, what if the one below all comes back? What if it isn't over? What if this never ends? I tried to get answers. You heard what he said. Doesn't look like it can end. Not the big picture, at least. All I know is that we're done with it. The Hulk stops. Not yet. He looks down at Stearns. You hurt Hulk. A lot. But if Hulk left you here, left anyone here, it would hurt Hulk more. Hurt Hulk inside. Hurt who Hulk is. So Hulk, forgive you. You are Hulk too. Same as Hulk. Hulk should forgive Hulk. Someone has to. And as they leave, as they walk down the road, Jackie asks, why of all people does Stearns get forgiveness? Joe tells her to ask the kid. He can forgive what was done to him. This is his outlook. But as for Joe Fixit, he doesn't forgive easy. Let's see what Stern does to earn any kind of forgiveness. At that moment, a red light appears and a voice calls out. Rockman? Thing says that this is a nice vacation spot they got here. So this is hell, huh? Now that you've collected the set, you guys want to ride home? And next to him is Walter Langowski. Once they all get back to the other side, once they all leave hell, Dr. Richards explains that Dr. Langowski was the key to reopening the Forever Gate quite literally. His gamma signature matches Bruce's exactly, even in Leonard Samson's body. But what that says about gamma in relation to the human consciousness? Wait a minute. Where's Bruce? After coming to and getting dressed, Bruce left. He doesn't remember what happened, but now he's more confident in himself, more assured. Did he absorb the devil on his shoulder? Did he lay an old ghost to rest? Has his fellow alters worked out some differences, or was all of this just a feeling of a door as old as Gamma itself closing and a new one opening wide? Whichever it is, he still has work to do. They have work to do. All of those people who live in his mirror, both the ones that he can see and the ones that he doesn't always want to. So are they good people? Well, what do you think? And there you have it, a massive full story right here at the Comicstorian channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you next time right here